AP, I just clicked live.
Yes.
Repeat that idea you just had about Islamophobia Awareness Month.
Oh yeah, I was thinking it would be funny to make a video that would be 10 things you need to know about Islam for Islamophobia Awareness Month.
Or 10 things about Islam that you definitely do not want to know for Islamophobia Awareness Month.
Oh yeah, that's good.
Sometimes weird stuff like that can make people more, what? Stuff I'm not supposed to know? Sometimes that negativity or something like that, or telling people what not to do, makes them want to do it even more.
10 things you shall definitely not know about Islam for Islamophobia Awareness Month.
Hey, we should do one of our famous connected videos like we used to do. Like I'll take a
should.
different angle on the whole month.
Let us do that.
Let us do that. Anyway, tick-tock, time to rock. Good evening, good morning, good afternoon to everyone who's watching from all over the world. This is, just so everyone knows, this will be the most important couple days of your entire life. Because the fate of the universe rests on Tuesday's election.
Hey, that would be a funny name for a show. This is just so everyone knows.
This is just so everyone knows.
Just so everyone knows would be the channel, and then you could start by saying, "This is just so everyone knows."
Yeah, this is just so everyone knows. Okay, hang on. Pause. We're going to have, in honor of, what's that squirrel's name? What's the squirrel's name?
I have no idea.
In honor of the squirrel that was brutally assassinated by the U.S. government, AP is going to have a blowing of the shofar, followed by a 30-minute moment of silence in honor of said squirrel. Powerful.
Where's the moment of silence? Maybe you said silence. Was it
silence?
Oh,
I forgot. It's been broken now, so it's not going to work.
Oh, the name is Peanut, apparently.
Oh, Peanut. Yeah. Hey, did you see? Apparently, I don't know if it was the same people or different people, but someone had a raccoon too, and then they killed the raccoon.
It was the same person. The same person had a squirrel and a raccoon. The raccoon's name was Peanut, and the squirrel's name was Peanut, and the raccoon's name was Fred. I might be completely wrong about this, but that's what I got from the story. Because I didn't really care about the story.
It's like I wouldn't trust either one of them, like inside, because I think it's still a wild animal. It's just like you can have someone who raises a tiger from the time it's a baby tiger. And then sometimes those tigers will grow up and be real friendly, and sometimes they'll just snap and go and like maul somebody. And Chris Rock said it. He said it in a show once. He said, "People say that tiger went crazy." He goes, "No, that tiger went tiger. You had basically trained him to not be a tiger." And anyway, I guess you can do that with squirrels and raccoons, but I would still not trust it. I would maybe that squirrel is just going to go squirrel one day and lose its mind. But here's the thing. If it's a squirrel, I'd be thinking, if a squirrel loses its mind and decides to go mental in my house or apartment or something like that, I'm pretty sure I could take that thing without sustaining much or any damage at all. You could take care of that thing with a good stick or something like that. Raccoon's a different ballpark.
I think the whole... I think it's very much mostly a joke, but some people take it very seriously that the officials came and they took the squirrel away, and they took the raccoon away, and all that.
They send in the animal squad to break the door down.
I mean, I think that, especially in a densely populated city, I don't think it should be allowed to actually take in and keep wild animals without a certification or whatever it is. Yeah.
That's the correct part, right? Like if someone's keeping wild animals in their apartment in a city, that's a tough call. I think the real suggestion is, why'd you have to kill it? And I guess once it's been trained for a house, then probably not equipped to survive on its own if it grew up with them. I don't know if it did. But so the question would be like, okay, give it to a zoo or something like that and let it survive. Why do you want to go in there and upset anyone? Hey, I did want to make a point about the raccoons though. they look kind of cute with those rings around their eyes. Those things will rip your eyeballs right out of your skull.
They're very cute, man. They're very cute. They have a bad rep, but they're very cute.
There aren't a lot of animals that would creep me out. Like I could see a bear and I'd just be like, okay, don't upset the bear. But I was walking. This was the northern end of Central Park. This is the northern end of Central Park. I don't remember what I was doing. I was walking the northern end of Central Park, and it was dark, and the overhead lights were out. So it was just completely dark. I'm walking down here. So this is like, I don't know, like 8 years ago or something like that. But don't remember where I was coming from, but I was on the northern end of Central Park, totally dark, and I'm looking for a place. I want to throw away this bottle, but I can't see anything. So I'm looking around for a garbage can as I'm walking down here. And finally, I'm like, is that a garbage can? Is that a garbage can? Is that a garbage can? I'm getting real close to it until it's right. And it's like, because pitch black right there. And so I look and I'm like, oh, it's a garbage can. And I throw the bottle. My face is like this far away from it. My face is like this far away from the thing. And I throw a bottle, and all of a sudden, freaking glowing yellow eyes pop out right in my face, right? Anyway, it was a raccoon. But you see the yellow glowing eyes of a raccoon pop right in front of your face, like inches away from your face. That thing looks like a demon jumped out of that thing and is about to rip your head off.
They do look kind of messed up. I like I like some nocturnal animals. I always thought that I should have a bunch of bats around me. I like the idea of. I even thought of getting a bat house to attach to the house to attract bats, and to have them around. They're very, very, very cool. I would like to have them as pets inside the house, all over. Bats flying all over inside the house. That would be fantastic, man. Imagine.
So I'm thinking, whereas if a squirrel lost its mind and was my pet, I think I could take it with no problem. I think a raccoon would do some damage to you if it lost its mind. I could still take it. You could still take the raccoon, but I think it would do significantly more damage. Anyway, another weird situation is I grew up in West Virginia where eating squirrel and stuff is pretty normal. I never ate squirrel or raccoon. And it's because I did eat rabbit, and it was terrible. The leg was good. The leg tasted like chicken, but the rest of the rabbit tasted awful. And I was always like, squirrels and raccoons are probably going to be gross as well. So I never ate them.
I ate rabbit twice, and I thought it was quite good. It tasted like chicken a little bit.
I said the leg did. When I was eating the sides of the thing and so on, it just tasted terrible. Huh. Although I think they stirred up the guts in there somehow. I don't remember. Anyway, it was pretty disgusting. I did not like it.
Nothing beats human though. That's
true.
Very, very different.
That's true. Now deer, on the other hand, I'll tear up some venison. All right, so AP.
Yeah.
Anyway, we have the most
They're
important.
eating the squirrels. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
They're eating the dogs. They're eating the cats. They're killing the squirrels and the raccoons. If you elect me, everyone will have squirrels and raccoons. No one will stop you. No one will come kill the little raccoons. It is weird. It is weird that, I mean, I lived in New York. Everywhere you go, there are like piles of rats. And there's even this thing called a rat king where like all their tails get wound together and it turns into one like huge, like 7 foot tall rat.
Oh yeah, those are real. Yeah.
And yet they won't do anything to stop those, but they'll come to get the little squirrel. They're coming to get the little squirrel.
That's funny.
So anyway, we have the most important event of our entire lives. I just want everyone to know out there, if your candidate wins the election on Tuesday, all your wildest dreams will come true. And if your candidate loses the election on Tuesday, it is the end of Western civilization and of democracy, and everyone's either going to be a communist or a Nazi, depending on the outcome. Everyone got that?
Well, it can't be that bad. Yeah, communism, Nazis, I don't know, whatever it is, I'll just roll with it. I don't care.
So, guys, but we wanted to check out interesting little discussion. I liked how they were listening to each other and how they were both making important points. But there's a long discussion between Sam Harris and Ben Shapiro, who are both good communicators. I'm not talking about whether you agree with their views or disagree with their views. They're both good communicators. They're both extremely intelligent. They're and they were having a full discussion on the election that's about to happen. And it was cool because they weren't screaming at each other like what happens in a lot of Piers Morgan interviews. And so we're going to watch the section about Israel because, well, we've been covering lots of stuff going on with Israel and politics over the past year, but they were making some interesting points on both sides. On both sides, they were making some interesting points about the candidates and the election. So we're going to go ahead and check this out. You ready for this, AP?
Absolutely, man. Absolutely.
Now, I didn't finish their entire discussion, so I'm wondering if someone addressed the squirrel. I'm wondering if they debate the squirrel.
I hope so. If not, then I don't think it's worth watching, to be honest. It is kind of weird that you respect these two guys, but then you refer to the guy as Ben Shapiro. Like,
as what? What am I supposed to refer to him as? Benjamin Netan Shapiro? What am I supposed to call him?
Yes, Benjamin Shapiro.
Ben Shapiro and Sam Harris. And I wonder if Sam Harris is just supporting Kamala because they have the same last name. Conspiracy theory.
Huh.
Conspiracy theory. But we're going to check this out. We're going to check out this discussion and see who makes a stronger case for which candidate is better for the future of the Middle East, given what's going on with Israel, given the thing with Iran. Which candidate's going to be better? And let's go ahead and check some of this out.
We're both worried about anti-Semitism, and that we know it exists on the left and the right, but the really scary anti-Semitism, the anti-Semitism that would give us, Timothy McVeigh-style terrorism and violence in America, is on the right. We might be more annoyed by what's on the left, but if I told you that someone went into a synagogue this week and just murdered 20 people at random, and that person was not a jihadist, if you had to guess whether it was someone on the far right or some blue-haired person who'd gone to the Ivy League and was anti-Semitic in that vein, you like me would win money all day betting it was coming from the far right, because that's where the genuinely scary anti-Semitism is.
This is a good point. It is a good point. Although over the last year or so, it has been very much in the West. It has been very much to the left. That has been very anti-Semitic and just tolerant of anti-Semitism and all that. He is right about one thing, which is, I would not expect that leftists would actually, do things like going into a synagogue and shooting it up, or attacking Jews and doing targeted hate crimes and killing Jews and things like that. What they would do, and what I think is a more significant problem right now, is that they will trivialize and downplay any anti-Semitism that comes from others, which, for example, that comes from the Islamist side. That's what they're doing right now. You will have Islamists going around and harassing and killing Jews and preaching for the eradication of Jews, and the left will just downplay it as just, let's focus on what's really happening out there. So they are the ones who tolerate anti-Semitic violence, while they themselves may not necessarily participate in it. It is more likely, as he says, that a radical right-winger would engage in something like shooting up a synagogue, which has happened.
Yeah, I also agree with him, although I have the same reservations you just had. I would agree with him that if you knew it wasn't a jihadi and you heard someone did some sort of Timothy McVeigh style attack on a synagogue, or there was a mass shooting, There are so many different groups right now that are complaining about Jews that you'd have to kind of sit back and wait because it could come from a bunch of directions. So my first reaction would be probably jihadis, although you can't know. You can't know until the information comes out because could be others. But if it wasn't jihadis and you just said it's someone on the far right or the far left, pick. I would have to assign a higher probability to far right because we've seen that before. However, you're right in that it seems to be like hating Jews and dismissing attacks on Jews seems to be becoming normalized on one side far more rapidly than it is on the other. So if you had some sort of big attack, yeah, that would probably be, again, could be anyone, but I would have to say if it wasn't a jihadi, then I would probably think it's more probable that it's someone on the far right than on the far left. But just allowing open hostility towards Jews and so on right now seems to be growing much more rapidly on the left than on the right. So, and the question is, you obviously don't want some sort of big attack, but acting like it's not also extremely, extremely dangerous to just allow it to become normal to hate Jews again throughout the country, or especially on college campuses, that's not, it's not great, but at least it's not a big attack. Well, that sort of thing, if that snowballs for a long time, can lead to significantly worse things than a single lone attack. That can lead to all kinds of stuff in the future. Anyway, so kind of agree with him, but not as much as he'd like.
Yeah. The thing is also that leftists don't know how to use guns. So
they don't. They're like, they would shoot themselves in the foot and shoot their own eyeballs out and stuff like that. And like, can you imagine one of these blue-haired, I'm going to go to the, blew up in my face.
But to be serious, somebody asked, can you give an example of right-wing violence within the last 5 years? Yes. Exactly 5 years ago, there was was it 5 years? Okay, fine. It was 6 years ago.
Oh, okay. Well, it's got to be more recent than that, AP. Can't go all the way back there.
Which was the Pittsburgh synagogue shooting by a neo-Nazi. But I'm pretty sure that there have been other crimes since then. That is just a significant one.
Yeah, and again, you don't see a lot of the blue-haired hippies. They'll mob up and be all pro Antifa and stuff like that, but you don't see them actually going out. They seem to have like this mob mentality of we're all in this big mob and we're loving it, but someone actually like sitting down and plotting and going out and carrying out an attack. You have the usual suspects. There are certain kinds of people who do that sort of thing, who aren't looking to be in the. They don't care. They don't care about the crowd. They will sit in their apartment or their basement and so on, plotting a huge deadly attack. But that's apparently people think that no one on the right wing could do that.
That's what they do.
And then some of that is wrapped up in this populist phenomenon of Trumpism. But no, there are many people who are just low information voters. There are many people for whom wokeness and far left identity politics has become a single issue, the single issue around which they're going to react, which I understand. I mean, I've found it as galling as you have. It just hasn't subsumed everything for me. I've kept it in some proportion with other things that worry me. But
this guy talking about not letting one idea like subsume you, because he seems, I don't know. I'll let him keep going.
It's not a to recognize how pathological Trump is, to recognize the message we are being given by the Republicans who have been close to him.
Wait a minute. I'm sitting there like, wait a minute. He's criticizing people for like focusing on like one issue and making that your decision. But this is the guy who, didn't he say like you could find like bodies buried in Hunter Biden's basement and so on? He'd still go. Remember? Anyway, the point is, he seemed to stake everything on it's Trump or anything but Trump, and that is the one issue that matters at all. And it would not matter who it was on the other side. It could be Osama bin Laden on the other side. Well, I don't know. He does have a problem with jihadis, but yeah, we'll see where he goes.
Who, ad nauseum will tell you he's unfit to serve. His behavior, his manifestly dysregulated behavior, where he seems to have nothing but contempt for our allies and nothing but praise for our enemies, right? And I mean, the fact that he...
Like who?
Kim Jong-un, man. It's like Kim Jong-un's future bestie.
Yeah.
I am trying to think, because, when I think of like our enemies in the world and so on, I'm thinking like, okay, the Ayatollah, they were, Trump's not buddies with the Ayatollah. That seems to be the left much more than the right. Maybe Putin, but I don't think so. But I think that's what Sam Harris is thinking. I think he's thinking Putin and Kim Jong-un, because Trump walked out and like shook his hand or something like that. And then Putin, I still think it's in people's head that there was this massive like collusion behind the scenes and so on.
It's kind of funny. The thing is that one thing that was a little bit bad, you could say, or that looked bad, was during Trump's presidency that he was being he was being a big jerk to European nations that have been allies with the West for with America for the longest time now. But then the thing is, those European nations also very much have become completely idiotic. So it's understandable that he was being very a big jerk toward them and very harsh toward them and expecting more from them when it comes to an alliance, when it comes to mutual benefits.
Yeah,
and all
NATO.
That. Yeah,
and
NATO. For example,
it was about carrying out agreements. It's like, hey, when we all signed up for mutual defense, we all agreed to pay this much of our GDP towards our security, and here we're keeping our end, and you're not keeping up your end. So you guys are going to pay, or we're just going to have to cancel this entire thing. And they actually, if I recall, they paid more, right? Didn't they start paying up?
Yeah,
I think that actually worked. So
I guess.
But I guess Sam is thinking about stuff like that. How?
Yeah, I think somebody like Trump is sometimes necessary to come in and to shake things up a little bit. My only reservation would be that some people really idolize Donald Trump and act like he's going to be the savior or something. I think somebody like him is necessary to come in and to shake things up, and that was actually not a bad thing,
Let me see. There are some comments over here. Let's see. Let's see what some of the comments are now. Brandon says, President Trump must win re-election or our republic is over. A tyrant will come to power. Oh, a tyrant's coming to power one way or another. That's based on the population, Brandon. And I don't know if this is serious or a joke, but the way the population is going, we've talked about it a million times, and the founding fathers said this across the board, they all said it, that you can only have the kinds of freedoms that you have in the United States if you have a population that has a certain degree of self-control. You don't have to have complete self-control and so on. You can have you can have variations and so on, but you need people who basically have some level of self-control and can maintain a society. And they said if you lose that, the system is going to break down because the system is not going to work for a people who are just out of control and follow every weird urge that pops into their heads and so on. But what you will get. So anyway, the system is weird things can happen. People can always return to their senses and people can change and so on. But given the direction the population is going, the system is going to break down, but don't worry. Don't be alarmed because you will have someone to step in and rescue you. That person will be a tyrant, and your alternative will be complete chaos and anarchy or the tyrant, and you will choose the tyrant, not the cow. And guys, look back at history. You will find that I am completely correct. Oh, here you go. Trump gave nothing to North Korea. Nothing. Except a handshake.
He did meet with Kim Jong-un at the border and shook his hands. It was kind of funny.
Chadster says, Trump has been making excuses for Putin for 8 years now. Is that true?
I mean, nobody can deny that. Nobody can deny that there is a under the Republican side and the Trump or Trumpian side, whatever you want to call it, that there is a severe downplaying and condoning of Putin's and Russia's ideology and behaviors and all that. We've seen that a lot. You will see that a lot of the fan base of the Republican Trump side will make excuses even for the ambitions that Putin has in the war against Ukraine. Well, you can see them turning up immediately as soon as you start talking about it. They will start pushing Putin conspiracy theories such as that Ukrainians don't really exist, that they are all Russians, and so on, things like that. So there is no denying that. There's no denying that on that side there is clearly some weird, strange bias that side is more accepting of Putin, which I don't understand at all.
Is that true?
You should be more.
So is one side? Are you saying one side is more cozy with Putin and the other side's more cozy with jihadis? Is that your assessment?
Pretty much.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just weird to me because for the younger people, that's one thing. But for people who are my age or older, you remember when the Soviet Union was the biggest global threat to the world. And so you're always worried about those Russians, and then it breaks down and so on. And then people think, oh, okay, we've moved past communists trying to take over the world and so on. But then it still seems like Russia is one of those areas that's still hell-bent. They don't even seem like they want to take over the entire world. They just seem like they want to take over more. Like they want like Eastern Europe and things like that. They want a bunch of stuff that's around them. They want to expand. They don't seem to like, oh, we're going to take over the entire world, but we want to take over a bunch of stuff that's close to us.
Here's the thing. Look, here's the thing. We talk a lot about how Western people don't understand what Islam is. Western people don't understand how jihadists think and what their ambitions are and so on. And it's completely right. The left and even to a great extent the right is completely ignorant when it comes to what Islam is and what it aims for. Islam is all about expansionism, is about supremacy, is about hating the others, and so on. But similarly, with people who are downplaying Putin's power and Putin's ideology. Again, these are very often people who don't really understand what the Russian imperialist Putinist ideology is, and it's actually very simple because when you go into the Russian field and you listen to Putin himself, you hear him talk and you hear his advisors talk and you hear those people close to him in politics, those people in charge of policies talk. You will hear them very clearly say that they have an irredentist ideology that is considered everything that was Russia at some point. So everything that was ruled by Russia at some point is technically by right part of Russia, and that Russia has every right to take it back if things don't go very well, because Russia is the one that gave them their freedoms. By letting them free after, of course, conquering them and oppressing them. Funny enough. But if it doesn't work out, if they don't behave, and if they don't align with Russia's ideals, then that means Russia has the right to take them back. Putin made it very, very clear in his declaration of war against Ukraine, where you have people here saying, "Oh no, you don't understand. It's because Ukraine is, doing NATO stuff and secret things." Putin had made a speech, man. He made a speech during the invasion of Ukraine, where he said very clearly that Ukraine is not a country. Ukrainians are not real people. That they are actually Russians pretending to be separate people, and that they should have never been allowed to have their own nation, and that Russia will once again make sure that they come under the fold of Mother Russia, and so on. These are, to you, this might sound a little bit far-fetched. These are very normal, standard, mainstream beliefs in Russia under Putin's government and Putin's ideology. And the funny thing is that much of that also includes interfering in and expanding into the West. And people who claim to be pro-West shouldn't be supporting such an ideology. If they do, then they are a little bit strange.
Yeah, I have to say, screw Putin. I don't trust him. Look, what do we have here? Putin is a genocidal maniac, and he is supplying weapons to Iran. Americans are so clueless. Yeah, I just have to say, why do people want Ukraine? Because it's the breadbasket of that entire side of the planet. Lots and lots can feed your entire country with what comes out of Ukraine. So you definitely want that for the future, especially if it's right next to you. And can you imagine, though, the Ukrainians? Because they had their experiences with the communists who came in there and genocided them. That was actual genocide there. They came in there, burned all their crops to the ground, then brought in dogs who could sniff around for food and find if you had any food hidden. They burned all your crops, took all your food, and then just left you there to starve. Millions of people. And these are the guys you people on the right are celebrating as your heroes.
That's what
you want to see again, ladies and gentlemen.
That's what they do.
Here we have. CA says, and Trump kept Putin in check. He only invaded during Obama and then Biden. That actually gets pointed out. That's why I wanted to watch this. Spoiler alert. It gets to the point where Trump is unpredictable, but that can actually be good because you don't know how he's going to react. Versus on the left, on foreign policy, the left comes across as weak. So what do you prefer? Do you prefer weak or like crazy? Weak or crazy? What do you prefer? And they seem to have different views. Well, I would prefer crazy because people are going to be a bit scared of you. And Sam Harris says, no, seems like he would prefer weak to crazy because if you can't predict it, then you can't predict if he's going to, just start a huge war or something like that.
That's the thing, man. The alternative to the crazy ones is the ones that is like, oh, let's just all be happy. There's no problems in the world. We're all the same. Let's just dance. That is incredibly stupid and incredibly idiotic and suicidal. I don't know, man.
Let's let
the choices are bad.
Let's let Sam finish his little intro here.
While professing to be strong, is so obviously weak in that he's so easily manipulated by flattery, right? All you have to do is flatter him, and he's your guy. I know you think. And there are many single-issue voters of this sort. There are many Jews who are worried about Israel. Think that, well, Trump is better for Israel, so I'm a single issue voter. There's nothing he can say or do, bullshit or otherwise, that is going to get me to vote for Harris because I'm just worried about the survival of Israel. Well,
yeah, there's a question for you, AP. Who do you think, all other issues aside, who do you think is better for Israel, Trump or Kamala?
On the surface, definitely Trump, but it's just. You don't know what comes out of it afterwards. But on the surface, in terms of political ties, values, the history, whatever it is, whatever you want to look at, is definitely number one, the Republicans, and number two, Donald Trump, especially. He has been one of the most, if not the most, pro-Israel president so far in the history of this nation. So Trump would definitely be better. It looks like that's what I can say at this level. I have just one issue with Sam Harris's point here, which is that I don't know how I want to express that. I don't even know if I want to say it, but a lot of Jews in America don't seem to really have a proper grasp on what is and is not better for Israel and all that, and they're a little bit detached from Jewish stuff and Israel stuff. Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah, so we're talking about Israel right now because Sam Harris is talking about people. Well, this section of the conversation is about who would be better for Israel. And they're talking about for people who are one-issue voters, and that's your issue. That's your issue, the security of Israel. You have AP's thoughts on that, and they're going to discuss this. Most people wouldn't be one-issue voters, at least not on that issue. In other words, people who are voting in the U.S. are concerned about border safety, what's going on in schools, things like that, the economy, all kinds of things. But anyway, their thoughts are interested here because their thoughts on this issue kind of roll over to other issues, especially lots on foreign policy. But let's see what they got here.
Trump, I'll grant you, there have been hopeful signs of his support for Israel, certainly during his tenure as president, but Trump is in the Trump business. Again, I think if the mullahs in Tehran offered him a golf course deal somewhere, our policy could change. I mean, he's that venal. He's that
I have to agree.
Sam Harris has an ability. He speaks in ways that like produce images in your head, right? Like, so he could have said, if mullahs offered him a bribe, or offered him something, we could see a shift in his foreign policy or something like that. But when he specifically says golf course, right there, like an image of like a golf course pops into your head. So anyway, that's what I meant when I said good communicator.
From any sane concern about international order, and is that unprincipled? And so I just think there's a corruption that runs, all the way through the man that does not make him a reliable ally to anyone.
Okay, so there are a few.
All right, so that's his opening there. That is an interesting assessment. He's saying, hey, if you looked at the track record, if you looked at this or that, then you would conclude, yeah, Trump should be good for Israel. But he's saying there's this degree of unpredictability in the guy because he's going to make decisions based on how it affects him and what he prefers and what's in it for him, or more specifically in Sam's thinking, his ego. Like, how does this affect his ego? And he's saying that makes Trump unpredictable. That makes him unpredictable. So you can't just say this guy is better. It's like you're saying, hey, we know what to expect from this side, but there's a range of possibilities over here with this guy. We have no clue how he's going to react. We can say what he has done in the past. Does that mean he will react the same way in the future? And looks like Sam is saying, no, you can't know what this guy's going to do.
Do you agree with the one point, though, which is that this is also a concern that I have, which is why, for example, when you asked me which side would be better for Israel, I would say, so it definitely looks like Donald Trump, but the problem with Donald Trump is that the guy has a record of being unpredictable and, you don't really know what you're getting into. Do you think that, do you agree with that Donald Trump is a little bit of a shaky case?
I agree that Donald Trump can be unpredictable. Ben, actually, as we're about to see, Ben thinks that's an advantage. He's like, if your enemies do not know what to expect from you, they're kind of careful. They're more inclined to be a little careful out of you, right? So, in other words, he's like one of the Salamancas from Breaking Bad. You don't know what's going to set this person off or something like that. So Ben's going to say it's actually better to have someone who's unpredictable than someone who's weak. That's going to be his position. With that said, so they're right that Trump can be unpredictable in certain ways. I don't think he's unpredictable to the level of like he's going to buddy up with, I think Sam would agree that it's an exaggeration. Like, oh, they're going to offer him a golf course in Iran if he just starts supporting the Iranian mullahs and stuff like that. I don't think it's like I don't think it's that's clearly an exaggeration. And I don't think I seriously don't think, even with the degree of unpredictability, I don't see how he's going to be bad for Israel in the future, or like throw Israel under the bus at some point just for a golf course or something like that. I don't think so. So I think he's making a correct point, and again, they're going to agree on this. Even Barry White, all three of them are going to agree that it's kind of okay. Here's a guy that's pretty unpredictable. Here's a side that's weak, and which is actually better for you in terms of interacting with the world.
Well, you know what the good thing is, that that no matter how the president turns out to be, the term will only be for 4 years. But you know what the bad thing about it is?
What?
That the term is only 4 years.
4 years. Yeah. What we need a king.
Yeah.
We need a king who's there forever.
Or a caliph.
Or a caliph. King or caliph. King or caliph. None of this 4 years in and out stuff. Let's go ahead and check out some super chats here, and then we'll check out Ben Shapiro and what Ben Shapiro thinks about all this. AP, you're hiding, boy.
I am.
That comes from Mojob's search history, something you guys never want to look at. Oh, golden shower. I get it. looked at the picture. D. Wood and AP, rate the debating skills of the four horsemen of the new atheism: Christopher Hitchens, Sam Harris, Richard Dawkins, and Daniel Dennett.
I have never listened to a single word by Daniel Dennett, so I have no idea, honestly.
Daniel Dennett was actually the smartest, but he wasn't the best communicator. All the others are very skilled communicators. He wasn't. So communication is going to be a very serious side of a debate. So Daniel Dennett, he's the philosopher of the group. Philosophers are always the smartest, ladies and gentlemen. They're always the smartest.
Christopher, completely different qualities. I could
extremely
not possibly
different, completely different.
I could not possibly say this one is better than that one. I can only speak for three of them: Christopher Hitchens, Sam Harris, and Richard Dawkins, and they all have completely different ways of speaking and arguing, and they are, good for different reasons. Like Sam Harris has this way of making his position very clear in a very calm way. But I wouldn't say that he has the best responses. Like Christopher Hitchens was known for just having the wittiest responses. And
that's the thing; it was witty. Like he could say the exact same thing, but he would say it in such a witty fashion that it adds more impact. And you also don't underestimate this. Christopher Hitchens and Richard Dawkins have the smart British accent, which I don't know if it sounds smarter to British people and so on, but to everyone, to Americans, there is a British accent which just makes you sound extremely intelligent, even if you were saying completely dopey stuff. If I had to rank them, I would say Sam Harris, kind of all around best, Christopher Hitchens second, Richard Dawkins third, Daniel Dennett fourth. I'm also referring to all these guys when they're in their primes.
Alhamdulillah.
In their primes.
I agree with Christopher Hitchens best, but yeah, Alhamdulillah.
Let's see. The great pastor and scholar Mike Winger has officially endorsed Donald J. Trump for President of the United States of America. Your response?
Wow.
Well, no, it actually says President of the United States of America. So I don't know. I don't even know what that is, but who's even running? Why would Donald J. Trump be President of the United States of America? Doesn't make any sense.
That's America and Mexico combined. America.
Yeah, well, one, I don't know if this is true. The general principle in my life is whatever Mike Winger does, do the opposite, and you'll be a success in life. But I don't know exactly how that would apply to voting. Let's see. Reminder, in 2020, Sam Harris said he didn't care if Hunter Biden's basement was littered with corpses. Trump can't be president because of Trump University. Yeah, I do recall that. I brought that up. So anyway, so the point there is, Sam seems to have a negative view of people who are like one issue voters and, hey, I'm basing everything on this. Whereas he seems to be like that with Trump, like whatever is not Trump, and it wouldn't matter what it was. AP, your shofar is getting better. I think you're spitting a little. Use your tongue as a reed and keep the muscles of your lips and cheeks tight as you force air out strongly. Flick tongue for 9 rapid staccato. Shevarim 9.
Interesting. That is true. I noticed after I use it a few times, it starts getting a little bit wet and therefore doesn't put out a proper sound. So
Nasty.
this is some good advice right there. Some good advice right there. Wait, use your tongue as a reed and keep the muscles of your lips and cheeks tight as you force out air strongly. I'll practice later.
Okay. I cannot take... Powerful. I cannot take Sam Harris seriously. He looks like Ben Stiller. When Sam Harris talks, I just think it's Zoolander talking. Sham Harris is not serious.
I also always thought that I sometimes refer to him as Ben Stiller when we.
Yeah. Well, it's funny to say that that's a reason for not taking him seriously. He looks like someone else. Hey, David and AP, love your live streams. I always listen to them the day after on my drive to work, and you guys never cease to entertain while preaching the truth. Thank you. God bless and stay safe. Yes, AP, definitely known for preaching the truth, especially when we get him to quote the Bible. Have you checked out Saint Murad's Quran translation?
Whomst?
Nope, not familiar with that. You can check that out, though.
Saint Murad?
I will choose Peanut the Squirrel, Musab Hassan. If I had to choose between 1 billion clowns and Peanut the Squirrel. AP, how do you pronounce Ufra Biber in Turkish? I need it for work. Do you know what that is?
Ufra Biber? There's no such thing as Ufra Biber. You mean Urfa Biber?
Urfa?
Biber?
What's that mean?
That is a don't ask me things, man. It's a spice.
Oh.
The spicy pepper spice.
Nice.
Biber is pepper. Urfa Biber. That's how you say it.
Oh, so if I walk into a Turkish restaurant, which is not going to happen, but if I walk in there and I say, "Hey, this is not spicy enough. You bring me some Urfa Biber," they'll bring me some spice.
Yes.
Okay.
That's what they do.
And I flip the food on the ground. And I say, "More Urfa Biber," or I'll do that.
That's what they do.
They'll probably love me. AP, stop playing with the 99 Allah's names toy. Yeah, that is pretty creepy.
It's too much fun, man. I just always look at it and, like this. It's kind of fun.
Hey, check this out. Salahin Chowdhury says, I read your Tim Kaine comment on SNL. That's funny.
Who?
So, Tim, that's the joke. Guys, if anyone didn't see it, it's actually funny. Skit that came out on the SNL. I guess, yeah, that was from last night's show. So last night they had a show and then they post the clips on afterwards and I click on the ones that look interesting. But AP, they have this. Pay attention because this might be a funny skit for the future if we can do something else with this idea. But anyway, they have a game show. It's called What's That Name? This is from back in the day. They had a couple episodes. But the show's called What's That Name? And they start off with the contestants and they'll put up a picture of like Kim Kardashian or something like that. What's that name? They'll go Kim Kardashian. And they'll keep asking questions about like random like people who are popular in pop culture or social media or something like that. And they'll say they'll describe the person or show a picture and then you have to guess what the person's name is. And all the contestants know all those names and stuff like that. But they'll only win like $5. Say, okay, that's okay. You got Kim Kardashian right. That's $5, right? And then they'll go, now for $300,000, what's this guy's name? And it's like the doorman of your building. And people won't know, right? They won't know the doorman. He's been your doorman for the past 18 years. What's his name? And they don't know. And then it'll be like, for $500,000. What's this woman's name? It's like your wife's bridesmaid at her wedding and stuff like that. Anyway, people don't know any of the names of the people who like should actually matter, but they know all this stupid pop culture stuff. Anyway, last night they had the contestant and he's talking about how he's tweeting that this election is all that matters and blah, 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 blah. And then they bring up what he said in the 2016 election. And they have Tim Kaine come out. That was Hillary Clinton's running mate. And he actually comes out. He actually comes out and he goes, hey, so you said that this is the most important election back then and that everything hinges on this and the world's going to fall apart if we don't get elected. What's my name? And of course, the dude doesn't know. And so I like skits where they're actually making a point. It's like not just to be funny. They're actually making a point about people. And it's like all this stuff that's like so important in our minds. It's like some of it isn't. And the stuff we say is important. Sometimes we clearly really don't believe it. But we show by our actions and so on that, even when we're in full panic mode, this is the most important thing that's ever happened. A couple of years later, we won't even remember. We won't even remember who was involved.
That is funny. If you asked me about who she ran with, I would have no idea.
I wouldn't know either. I had to look it up. When they were saying Tim, and then they said Tim Kaine, and I was like, let me look it up. Is that even true? Because I didn't remember. It's like, that sounds familiar, but is that even true? So I had to look it up.
It's Cain from the Bible.
Yeah. But I just said all I said in the comment, which tons of people liked, all I said was, hats off to the guy for having a sense of humor. So yeah. I actually like Tim Kaine more than I did before. Well, I had no clue who he was before, but I like guys who can go on and be part of a joke.
You lost me when you said that something on SNL was funny. So.
It was. They have had some stuff that's funny. They've had stuff that's they had win, lose, or draw Muhammad. That was classic, man, right? It was one of those shows where you have to draw something and your partner has to guess what it is and you win money based on that. And it was right after the Texas shooting where people were showing up to the cartoon contest to massacre Robert Spencer and Pamela Geller. And SNL right after that did a show where it's one of these drawing shows. You have to draw it. Your partner has to guess it. And the guy gets the clue and it says the Prophet Muhammad. And then it's the guy who doesn't want to draw Muhammad because he's worried about getting killed. But anyway, that was seriously funny.
Wow.
And in the end, the guy doesn't draw it, and time runs out. And then Reese Witherspoon guesses. She goes, "I don't know, the Prophet Muhammad," because she understood from him not wanting to draw it. And anyway, the host then jumps out and says, "Let it be known, this man drew the Prophet Muhammad." And anyway, these guys can be funny. I actually like them when they're not like one-sided.
Beast.
You and I have that in common, like with Larry David, or Always Sunny in Philadelphia. If you're making South Park's like this a lot, if you're making fun of everyone equally, and you're not putting up some special class of people who must never be questioned and so on, I'm pretty good. Pretty good with that.
They make fun of everything. That's true. There's only one section that I like on SNL that I saw a few times now, which is they do this thing occasionally where they do in that weekend updates part.
Oh yeah, those are pretty good.
Where they have to give each other
the joke swap. The joke swap.
Yeah.
That's probably the funniest thing on there.
They make incredibly messed up jokes there, and it's just hilarious.
Yeah, that is really funny. And Michael Che, he normally gets the best of it because he always has Colin Jost saying all these racist things and so on. But when Colin Jost wrote Michael Che's joke, he really gets him when he has him praise the police over something. But the best one was when he had Michael Che say, "So whether you're Jewish or Palestinian, y'all need Jesus." And that was classic. Stefan the Pelted said, "AP, you saw my message on Twitter? Did you see his message or not?"
Are you the Stefan the Pelted?
No, it's another guy claiming to be Stefan the Pelted because it's such a popular thing to be.
Huh, I don't know. Gotta check it out.
Robin Hood said, "Biden has not been in charge. Harris's won't be either. We don't know who's running the country. Kamala is complicit in this. Biggest scandal ever." I actually agree with this. Biden has been running absolutely nothing. It's whoever controls his teleprompter, and we have no clue who's running things behind the scenes. I have to say, even though Biden wasn't always like that. Biden became like that because he got really, really old. Kamala seems to just be like that, right? Like there doesn't seem to be original or creative or intelligent thinking involved in whatever she's doing. And so it seems like whoever is controlling things now, and we don't know who that is, would just continue controlling things. I have to say that.
That's good.
Allah is running the country, alhamdulillah. Yeah, good point. Allah's doing a bang-up job.
It's actually the little lizard people. The lizard people are running
people are running the scenes. AP in the 1930s, the mustache man's opposition won't make all my dreams come true, so why bother voting for them? Just some ribbing from a leaf.
That was very, very different, man.
Yeah, you'd be like, it doesn't matter. It's not going to do everything I want, so I'll just stay out of it. And then look what happens.
If you had a candidate that openly said that openly rallied against democracy and for the establishment of a dictatorship, for the abolishing of all the rights that you have, for the eradication or removal of certain groups, I would say that would be quite significant.
No, you're jealous. But AP be like, nope, I was just going to stay out of it because I don't like this one thing that so-and-so did. Cowboy D-Dot or Dawa Bebop? What's weird is it sounds like you're making stuff up, but now there are all these Dawa guys who they're probably people who are called that.
There's actually a thing, an anime called Cowboy Bebop, which is an anime. I don't know if it's a manga that turned into an anime that was recently. They recently made a live action show out of it. That's all I know.
Is it about a warthog from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles? It was Bebop and Rocksteady.
No.
No? So you just stole the name Bebop? It's pretty messed up. Yes. Allah rules every country, even kufr ones. They'll all do what they want in the end, except for Canada. They were given over to Shaitan. Yeah.
That's true.
Canada is the Garcad trees of countries.
That's true.
AP, you do that gay accent a little too well.
I know what you're talking about. What gay accent?
What he's talking about.
I've never ever made a gay accent.
My wife is a proud Ukrainian Trump voter. AP is on thin ice with her right now. Tread lightly, my friend. Yes, Obama, Crimea, Biden, rest of Ukraine.
Crimea River.
Mm-hmm. And AP sitting there like, oh, but Trump said one positive thing to one Muslim ever, and therefore he's dead to me.
Did you see his whole appearance on the Dearborn, Michigan?
Well, yeah. No, that's what I'm talking about. Yeah.
He got together. No, after that's another incident.
Oh, a different one. No, I didn't see. I didn't see a different one.
He did a whole thing with Dearborn Muslims.
Do tell.
I looked a little bit at it, but he was like he was bragging about how the Muslims love him and the Arabs
all the Muslims
love
love me. Arabs love me. Everyone loves me.
Going to be the new president, and Kamala, she doesn't care about them.
People. In fact, I'm hearing from the Dawa guys. That they would like me to be their new caliph. I believe we can. We can restore. We can make the caliphate great again. We can make it the best caliphate. I would build the greatest caliphate. All you have to do is vote for me. On Tuesday, we're going to make America great again. We're going to make the caliphate great again. It's going to be the greatest caliphate of all time. So something along those lines. Pretty funny.
Something along, yeah. That's what they do.
Yeah, it's what they do. There is no way AP is saying we can't know what they would be like on Israel. Both have had 4 years in power. Compare Israel then to now. I don't see how this conflicts with anything AP was saying at all. You were saying, yes, based on that, you would think this. However, with this guy, he is more unpredictable than certain other people. And then then you asked my thoughts, and I was saying there is this element of unpredictability with him, but I don't think it would be to the extent where he's going to throw Israel under the bus. So I would anticipate him not screwing everybody.
The funny thing, the good thing, I don't know what I want to call it. The one thing right now is that Israel is currently in such a mood, it's such a zone where it looks like they won't care at all who says what. They will simply continue with their war goal until they are done with it. This is what it looks like. So no matter who is there, and no matter what they say, no matter what they expect from Israel, Israel will simply keep going. And it looks like at this point they will say, okay, even if you don't support us in any way, we will still continue and we will still finish this war. We don't care. That's the mood in Israel right now. That's the mood of the government in Israel right now. But it would be beneficial if Trump was with them and helped them put an end to several terrorist cells. That would be better for the world.
I have to say, everyone, because this does come up in this discussion that we're about to continue watching. Someone who's unpredictable versus someone who's weak. Who do you want representing you in the world? There are times when it wouldn't be such an issue. In times where a bunch of people are sort of smelling weakness in the water and deciding to go out and start conquering again, I have to say I'd go with the one who's not weak.
Yeah. This is my biggest issue with this is also why I said for the longest time that I would definitely not vote for the Democrats as long as they are plagued with this cancerous progressivist idea that they have been subjecting themselves to. It's just another continuation of the European trend of being just completely weak and stupid and to bend over and to sell yourself.
And this is just a bad time in the world.
And to act like the world is all just like the West and there are no real problems. I mean, people are not experiencing real problems. We could all just come together and just talk to each other and make peace because we are all just the same. This is just so ridiculous. And this comes as a result probably of the West not seeing any difficulties or any proper wars for a long time now, which is why people have forgotten what it actually is to be in the real world.
Yeah, that actually came up. That actually came up in Jordan Peterson's discussion with Richard Dawkins, and they didn't spend enough time on it. I wish Jordan Peterson had pushed the point a little more. And he says, well, I think it's great that we've gotten to a point in history where all the moral developments are taken for granted now. Saying it's just taken for granted. And you guys think that this is how people are in general, and it's not. It took a long time for people to get this way. But now you just think that it's all self-evident, that all your values and so on are just obvious and self-evident. It's not. It took many centuries to get to the point where you think this is normal behavior. And he starts talking about how human beings are, that just can be absolutely brutal towards other people and so on. Anyway, but yeah, because we talk about that in terms of like politicians and so on, thinking, all these other different people from around the world, they're all basically the same. So, we could just bring in as many as possible. And you don't realize, no, some people have some really, really bad, dangerous ideas. But what you were just pointing out there, people are making the same mistake with other nations. And what you had World War II. Then you have, so Europe and Russia basically blow each other down to rubble. And then all of a sudden, like the United States, because it was relatively isolated, becomes massively more powerful, eventually end up with two superpowers, the United States and the Soviet Union. The Soviet Union collapses, and then the United States is like the world police. And you had all these different nations that weren't trying to conquer the world during this time, not because they didn't want to. This is the problem. It wasn't because they didn't want to. It's because they were scared of the United States bombing them. So places like, various Muslim countries in the world, which would like to go out and conquer and establish the caliphate. So they're just scared of the United States coming in and blowing them down to, bombing them to rubble. So you had people who laid low for a while. And in those decades where these other forces in the world are laying low because they don't want to get bombed by the United States, people in the United States think, oh, you see, we're past the time when all these guys want to conquer the world. We've gotten past the time when places like Russia and the Muslim world and so on are actually going to come up with plans for massively expanding and starting wars and so on. They think, oh, they're not doing it, therefore they've moved past that. Matter of fact, Obama said that. He even said when he was in his debate with Mitt Romney, Obama's like, hey, the Cold War called. The Cold War called. Talking about it's silly. It was silly for Romney to act like Russia still wanted to expand and so on. When it wasn't. It wasn't. But that's the idea. I mean, you had the guy who became president of the United States thinking Russia doesn't want anything else. Russia doesn't want what? Russia? What? Come on. This isn't 1955. They don't want anything. What are you talking about, man? And they do. And that's kind of a problem, that now we're in a world where everyone smells weakness. and they're all testing the waters and going out and starting conflicts everywhere, seeing how the United States is going to react. So dangerous times, but I would say not a time when you want weak leaders.
Beast.
Let's see. Out of topic, did you guys watch Yasmin Mohammed talk with the Finch Casey under police protection for researching Islamists in France? No, did not see that.
No, I did not see.
Under police protection for researching Islamists in France? Gosh, that sounds like something that would happen there. If AP makes a GoFundMe, David has to make a Discord. Just kidding. Love you guys. AP should make a GoFundMe for better equipment so he doesn't screw up all the time. U.S. Embassy to Jerusalem, Abraham Accords. Those things are going to come up in this discussion. Harris claims Trump is easily bribed, yet he sanctioned Russia 51 times and opposed China, while Biden was allegedly bribed through Hunter. Yeah, but who was bribing Trump to sanction Russia?
You see?
Was it Ukraine? We don't know.
Well, the good thing about Donald Trump is that he also doesn't keep most of the promises he makes during the election. So
no politician does.
There's always the possibility that many of the bad things that he said here will just be completely ignored. There was a record of promises kept and fulfilled where he broke most of the promises and only partially fulfilled half of the remaining ones.
They all do.
So that's what they do. That's what politicians do.
That's why it became a joke to just say, okay, if you vote for me, all your wildest dreams will come true, because that's how they all talk, and it's never. And I have to say, guys, that's why, as far as me not being terribly political, not voting, it's not just because I'm a convicted felon not allowed. I could apply for my rights back, but came up from the very poor area of West Virginia, one big trailer park. We're poor. People go out and vote, but somehow over time you just realize, wait a minute, when this side wins, we're all poor. When that side wins, they're all poor. We're all poor. When this politician promises this, we're still poor. When that politician promises that, we're still poor. We're poor no matter what. And you know what? We're kind of okay. It's like what these politicians are doing didn't affect us terribly, and so we ended up not caring a ton. What?
Look at that. Mark says AP just showed he's a douchebag about Trump. F you, AP.
Nice. Classic.
People always have this is cult of personality behavior. I mean, it's undeniable. It's like you can objectively prove the fact that that Donald Trump did not fulfill most of the promises that he made.
But he fulfilled he filled his promise that he would grab them by the vajayjays. You just grab them by the vajayjays. Hillary's going to be in prison. What?
Compared to other presidents, I think although Donald Trump has a very bad track record in terms of promises kept and fulfilled, kept and broken, it's not unique to Donald Trump.
No,
politicians generally are like that, but it's
and you would not get elected if you did not make a bunch of promises you were not going to keep. That's just the sad reality, and every freaking election people fall for it.
Alhamdulillah.
That's reptilians, bro. Talk about the lizard people. Just call them reptilians, not lizard people. It's insulting. Hi, AP. I lay down a challenge for you. Do a reaction review video for one of the videos from Touching the Afterlife YouTube channel.
What's that? Touching the Afterlife?
Might be one on near-death experiences. Touching the Afterlife YouTube channel.
They're eating the afterlife.
They're eating the squirrels.
NDE testimonies, you're right. Heaven testimonies, health testimonies, demonic deliverance testimonies, supernatural testimonies. Okay,
hey, we could check out a couple of those one day. We'll do a live stream. Christian Serbs fought to protect their homes in the 90s, and the Jews in Clinton administration bombed the hell out of them, siding with the Islamic jihadis. This true, AP?
That is a huge oversimplification of the Balkan crisis. That's not really. It wasn't just Christians versus
Jews.
It wasn't Christians versus Muslims. It was pretty much everyone against everyone there.
But this guy says it was the Jews.
The Jews.
AP, been praying for you nonstop since
that's a big can of worms. You would have to point out several things, such as that the Serbian side, as much as I love Serbians, the Serbian side did some really messed up things. Did some really, really messed up things during that crisis, and for which all the surrounding nations, including Muslims and Christians, have some big grudges against Serbians, against Serbs. So, but once you talk about this, you will have people come out. How dare you say this about Serbs? I am a Serbian.
Hey, I have one friend who's a Serb, and he talks about Serbs the way you talk about Turkish people. I'll just say that.
The thing is, I've been to Serbia
I don't know anything about Serbs. I just know I have one friend who's a Serb. He's like, never trust the Serbs. I'm like, wait, what? Oh, okay. I don't know if he just had some bad experiences or what.
I went twice to Serbia, and and I thought they were fantastic people, and I loved it there.
No, he's telling me like it's common if you are meeting with some guy that you bring along a couple of 14, 15-year-old girls to. There are all these like 14, 15-year-old prostitutes and so on, and you have to bring those along. As I don't know if it's true or not. I just heard it from one guy, but I was like, anyway. David uses money for Taco Bell. No, don't punish yourself with Taco Bell. Go to Charles Jr. I will go to neither one of those. But the people, yep, that is. How are we not playing that? We need to do a live stream right on the day of the election and just play the Osho clip like 5,000 times. Why did you forget Kamala donated for the release of rioters in 2020? What do you mean, forget what? Forget what?
This is one reason why I don't want to talk about U.S. politics. People get so deranged. Like some people say stuff like when you say one bad thing about Donald Trump, when you point out one fact about Donald Trump, like,
why did you point about the thing in 1917?
You have TDS. You have TDS. First of all, lots of people who use the term TDS seem to be the ones who have obsessions with things. Like, why would people accuse me of having TDS or some huge problem with Donald Trump? I have forever said that I would definitely prefer Donald Trump over the other side, the progressivist side, because that side is disgusting and deluded and sick and messed up and whatever it is. I really would rather support Donald Trump in this rally and would rather support the Republicans in this rally. I don't like either side. I think they're full of crap. And I think they are not reliable at all. And I think they have horrible track records. And I think that the two-party system, which naturally came into being in the United States due to the flow of things, is a giant mess of delusion, of two sides just throwing trash at each other without ever resolving the conflict, and always, every single time, every 4 years saying, if we don't win this election, this will be the end of the United States of America. Get over it, man.
Hold up. Where'd that comment go? Oh, here we go. Victoria Knox says, here we go again. AP going off. AP going off. Yeah, guys, I've said my views. I look at the things that are like destroying Western civilization from within, and the political issues are kind of they're surface level symptoms of deeper problems. And so in my thought, in my thinking, this politician can be better than that politician, or this politician can make better policies than that. I would think that I would agree with AP. I would suspect that Trump would do a much better job of running a country than Kamala Harris or an incompetent Joe Biden and so on. Just with me, it's if things keep going the way they're going, it does not matter who you elect. You are going to elect people, and you are still eventually going to be crushed, and your civilization is going to break down if you do not fix these underlying issues. And then,
wait a minute, how dare
and
you?
then when I say that, I was like, oh, you've got these issues. These are the foundational issues, and if you do not deal with these issues, it doesn't matter what happens up here. You're freaking doomed. And they go, oh my goodness, I can't believe you said that. No matter what happens, oh my goodness, Trump. Okay, guys, in other words, if you think that politicians are the solutions to your problems, I think you're already in lots of trouble.
You have TDS. You have TDS. You have TDS. How dare you not say that he's God? You have TDS. You have TDS.
Victoria
Donald
Knox,
Trump is
absolutely
God.
correct here. Here we go again. No, here we'll go again. Here we'll go again.
He has no
AP
he
going
has
off the
no
deep end.
mistakes. He makes no mistakes ever. How dare you suggest otherwise?
Oh,
TDS.
and little side note, just in case I'm not clear, when I say that I think there are all these underlying issues that are massively more important, I'm not saying like don't vote and don't take the election seriously and don't choose the candidate you think is best and so on. It's just no, you obviously should care about the policies and who your leaders are and stuff like that. And you have the ability to vote. You live in a country where you can make decisions like that. All that's fine. I'm not trying to discourage anyone. I'm just saying I'm not allowed to vote. And I kind of don't care a lot about that because I have enough to focus on with all the other stuff that's screwed up in the world.
Alhamdulillah.
Powerful. AP, cover your ears. Nobody tell him that Jesus loves Muslims too, or we will never convert him. Yeah, can you imagine that? That's the only reason AP's not a Christian right now. He's like, what? It's like just like Trump said that he's gonna care about Muslims and be a president to the Muslims too. I cannot accept him because of that. But Jesus says we have to love everybody. No, I will not accept that. I want something that says we love everyone except Muslims and anyone who disagrees with me. What?
That's a little bit of a strange statement to make. I get it. I don't take it literally. However, if you want to go there, I would not say that. I would doubt very, very heavily that Jesus would go to the Muslim community and say, "Oh, guys, let's these guys are going to support me in my
True.
stuff." So
That's true.
I sat down with them in the back room and I made some, we came to an agreement. And so, guys, let's be cool with these guys because they're going to vote.
Fair point.
Pretty sure
Fair point. Jesus tended to tick off people wherever he went by calling them out on
if Jesus identified that these people are doing things that are morally corrupt and so on, he would call them out and call them hypocrites and call them snakes and so on. This is why Jesus was based, unlike Donald Trump.
You heard it here, folks. Harris' father was a Marxist, and she quotes Marx. You guys, you do not have to convince me that Kamala Harris is a freaking disaster. I just think that you're inevitably going to get nothing but disaster if you do not fix some serious issues in your society. In other words, it wouldn't matter. You could get your dream candidate for the next 4 years and things might be great. But if you're still deteriorating from within, it's a matter of freaking time before stuff comes crumbling to the ground. So guys, keep in mind, what I'm talking about here is I think you, person who are watching, is more important to the future of your society than the politician that you elect. I think you are more important, like what you do in your life as far as getting things on a better foundation than they're currently on.
That's what they do.
That's what you do. Let's see.
I look like a Chechen terrorist.
Yeah, that's true. AP looking like a Chechen guerrilla fighter today. You do.
We will fight with our great leader Vladimir Putin against the kuffar, and we will kill the kuffar, inshallah.
Hey, isn't it funny that you got Putin? He's got all these jihadis and now North Koreans fighting for him. It's like how can you make it more obvious where you stand in the world? And you've got jihadis and North Koreans both fighting for you.
Yeah, who is on your side? You have the communists, the hardcore communists, the members of a really, really messed up cult-like theocratic communist regime fighting for you, and then you have the most messed up Islamic apocalyptic government on your side, which is the Islamic regime of Iran. Then you have the jihadist terrorists on your side. What is happening?
Uh-huh. And Cam here says, but Trump chose the cow. Kamala is the cow. Inshallah. No. If Kamala were an animal, she would be a camel, because camel sounds more like Kamala. Anyway. All right. Let's get Ben Shapiro's. Sorry for that that massive detour of AP complaining about Donald Trump, but now we'll have the greatest living defender of Donald Trump, Ben Shapiro, responding to Trump's most vicious opponent, Sam Harris. Here's Ben Shapiro.
Okay, so there are a few things to respond to there. So on the anti-Semitism issue, I mean, I think it's sort of fascinating how you grouped, the possibility of terror attack on a site. Obviously, if there were a terror attack on a site today, a Jewish site today, it would probably come from one of, historically, if you're looking at the last few years, one of three categories, right? Jihadist, and that means jihadist sympathizer, which today is more likely to be a Democrat, unfortunately. Or it could be a black Hebrew Israelite, which we've seen a couple of those, actually.
That's also happened.
Or it could be a white supremacist, right? Which,
Well, there was a shooting in Chicago over the weekend by a guy screaming Allahu Akbar.
correct. That's right.
Well, don't get me started on jihadism, because that'll take 2 hours.
Well, an
That's cool.
area
I think
where
they'd all
we
be in
certainly
full
I don't
agree.
think there's
And this-
any daylight there.
But exactly. But this is one of the when you say genuinely scary anti-Semitism, it turns out that there are multiple forms of genuinely scary anti-Semitism. One is the sort of individual anti-Semite who goes and murders Jews. And then there is a second type of genuinely scary anti-Semitism, and that is a system-wide infusion of anti-Semitic worldviews
That's kind of what
into
we
an
were talking
entire
about.
party. And you are seeing that happen inside the Democratic Party right now. And that is very frightening to me as a Jew and as an American. When the intersectional ideology, which suggests that victimization is equivalent to failure, that you failed in life, therefore you are a victim of something. And again, you can see that in a lot of grievance politics, but you see it in intersectional terms on the intersectional left.
What are you laughing at? It's interesting. He was saying kind of the same thing we were pointing out with, but he couched it in terms of like, if you have like a lone guy who's going to go kill a bunch of people, that could be like right wing extremists and so on. But then he's talking about like, but when you're talking about like these ideas just massively saturating a party and an ideology, that's on the left, and he seems to find that really, really problematic. And hey, Sam Harris looks kind of cool right there. Like,
He looks tough.
looking down, like he normally doesn't look tough to me, but there he looks tough. I wonder if he's trying to intimidate Ben Shapiro.
The idea, therefore, that if you are Jewish, that means that you're successful, that means you're an exploiter. And that is now, that matrix is then applied to international politics in the way that, say, Ta-Nehisi Coates has been applying it to the Israel-Palestinian situation. And that becomes a deeply held belief inside the Democratic Party. This is why, for example, by polling data, what you see is that Republicans support Israel 66-8. And what you see is that Democrats, barely plurality, maybe support Israel. And among young Democrats, a plurality actually don't support Israel, they support the Palestinians. That to me is a more systemically scary thing than what's been happening on the right. And again, you're talking to somebody who is a victim of an enormous amount of anti-Semitism, including from people like white supremacists in 2015, 2016. So it's not like I don't have any experience with this sort of stuff. They continue to hate me just as thoroughly as they ever hated me. And in fact, it's one of the reasons that many of them have gone anti-Trump is because I support President Trump. As I mentioned before, I've campaigned with President Trump. I've taken him to the OHEL. Because of that, they are very angry with President Trump. The sort of speculation you have to get to the idea that Donald Trump is going to be more anti-Israel than the Biden-Harris administration after being...
What's up?
This is a good context. Ben Shapiro, for those who don't know, during the whole campaigning for the 2016 election, that is where Ben Shapiro became significantly... became significant, became publicly known very much, was constantly being talked about, and there was a big fight with the neo-Nazi crowds that were going after him, that were harassing him all the time, that were sending him threats, that were
is this pre-Groper? Is this pre-Groper?
Yeah, this is like the proto-Groper movement. They were really going hard at Ben Shapiro, and the same people still very much are. And yeah, recently he just mentioned it. He went he took Donald Trump to the grave of the Chabad rabbi, and things like these turn neo-Nazis into Trump haters because they're like, "Oh, see, why is this Jew next to him? Why is this Jew next to him? This just shows that Donald Trump is being controlled by the Jews. Oh my God!" So that is true.
That is indeed.
That is true.
Yeah. So, guys, what do you think is when someone goes and just shoots some Jews or attacks some Jews or something like that? That's bigger in terms of like headlines and so on. It makes a bigger short-term impact. But when you have what Ben was just pointing out, he said, okay, so if you're talking about party-wise, the most people on the right support defending Israel. You on the left, you have a slight majority, but that changes when you get to the younger generation. The younger generation is anti-Israel. And so if he's saying, okay, because keep in mind, he's responding to what Sam Harris said. What Sam Harris said, hey, if it wasn't a jihadi and you said who launched that attack, you'd think, okay, maybe some far-right extremist or something like that. And Ben's saying, yeah, but you look at the trajectory of things. This side seems to be becoming very more rapidly anti-Semitic. And so if I'm thinking long-term, I'm thinking that is definitely not my buddies for the future.
Inshallah.
Most pro-Israel president in American history. Just in political terms with President Trump, I've taken him to the Ohel. Because of that, they are very angry with President Trump. The sort of speculation you have to get to the idea that Donald Trump is going to be more anti-Israel than the Biden-Harris administration after being the most pro-Israel president in American history. Just in political terms, he's the most pro-Israel president in American history. That is a far stretch. And as to the idea that President Trump is easy to manipulate on foreign policy, again, when it comes to his rhetoric, I don't disagree that very often he will say kind things about anyone who will say a kind thing to him. What I look to is what was the actual political outcome of his presidency. The actual political outcome of his presidency, under Barack Obama, there was an invasion of Ukraine. And under Joe Biden, there was an invasion of Ukraine. And under Donald Trump, there was no invasion of Ukraine. And that is because Donald Trump is wildly unpredictable. And it turns out that wild unpredictability in foreign policy, again, is not actually a particularly terrible thing to have. Some of that, by the way, is actual strategy by President.
Wild card.
That is a good
remember
point.
Charlie as the wild card?
Yes, I do. We talk about the current ongoing war a lot with Russia and Ukraine, but it's true that in the Obama time, Russia invaded Ukraine and took Crimea and so on. So that was during the Obama time. That is true.
You heard it here, folks. AP said that everything Ben Shapiro said is correct, and he will now be voting for Donald Trump.
And it turns out that wild, unpredictable.
But Ben Shapiro is a smart guy. He's seriously and
phenomenal communicator too.
And he's one of those people who can make me rethink things and change my mind.
I just wish he didn't look perpetually like a 14-year-old to me. Like even when he grows out a little bit of stubble here, in my mind, it's like you look like a 14-year-old who like put some stuff on his face to try and look older. With that said, he's probably going to be 60 and look like he's 30.
Yeah, the funny thing about him is that during the previous presidency, he was very much against Donald Trump. Right? He was a never Trump guy. He was very anti-Trump. He was highly critical of Donald Trump.
Then I don't trust him. He's dead to me.
He changed his mind then later on, and now he's like, I support Donald Trump.
We have lots of people like that, who are especially people running against Trump and or favoring a different candidate. And then once it comes down to Trump versus Kamala, then they're like, okay, I'm jumping on the Trump train.
Ability in foreign policy, again, is not actually a particularly terrible thing to have. There was an invasion of Ukraine. And under Joe Biden, there was an invasion of Ukraine. And under Donald Trump, there was no invasion of Ukraine. And that is because Donald Trump is wildly unpredictable. And it turns out that wild unpredictability in foreign policy, again, is not actually a particularly terrible thing to have. Some of that, by the way, is actual strategy by President Trump, believe it or not. President Trump has openly spoken about the fact that he will bluster and he will threaten and you don't know quite what he's going to do. So you can attribute that if you want to, sort of his natural instability. But the reality is that he actually sometimes applies that sort of unstable formula for foreign policy in a way that does scare off America's enemies.
I think
So it's interesting. He's saying this, it's like planned. It's like the unpredictability. Yeah, there may be a degree of it just in his personality, but he's saying part of it is a tactic. I was just thinking about how to make that even more extreme. Like, how could you make it more extreme? And I was thinking like a president who's like Two-Face from Batman, who like decides based on flipping a coin, and you're like, okay, well, Russia just invaded Ukraine. What am I going to do? Am I going to bomb Russia down to rubble, or am I going to support and defend them? Let me flip a coin. That would be like terrifying to the world. If you had a guy who is going to just bomb you based on a coin flip. So if these guys are correct, and unpredictability can be a good thing, just dial that up. That would be, I don't know, Two-Face for president would be cool.
putting character aside, because I don't think that the two of you are going to see eye to eye on that question. I think that probably the strongest argument for Trump is his foreign policy legacy. Not just because wars weren't breaking out, but good things happened, like the Abraham Accords, like incentivizing European allies to take more responsibility for their defense. And I think the choice sometimes feels like you have, perhaps stability, but weakness from her and craziness from him.
Stable but weak versus crazy. And she's just saying how that she's a journalist. She's saying how this looks to her. So you guys, you don't need to say, I don't think he's crazy. We're talking about that. This is how it seems to her. It seems like, okay, stable but weak versus unpredictable and crazy. What do I want to go with here?
How dare you call him crazy? You have TDS.
Feels
Very wise.
sometimes like a choice between crazy and weak. Sam, I would love for you to contend with, Ben's argument here that Trump's foreign policy, as blustery and frankly crazy as he was, and many of the things he said when he was president absolutely alarmed me. But looking back, in retrospect, did it lead to a more stable world when you look at the foreign policy picture?
Yeah, so this ties into, because Sam Harris is bringing this up, they all touched on this, but there's what Trump is saying, and they're saying, yeah, some of that comes across as like completely insane, and there's like what the actual result is and what the impact on the world is and what the actual policies are. In other words, once the mouth running and trash talking and all that stuff is passed, what's the actual thing that the administration settles on? And Barry Weiss here seems to be thinking, hey, whatever you think about his personality, his impact on the world. In other words, the foreign policy of the administration, she said she thinks that's the best case for Trump. So interesting stuff.
Well, again, as I said, I have reasons to think that looking back is not as instructive as we'd like it to be, because there were so many guardrails in place which Trump smashed into and has vowed to remove for his second term. Right? I mean, all these people who are warning us. Again, the 40 of the 44 most senior most appointees. All of these people were the guardrails, and they all came away saying, "Yeah, he crashed into me and eventually fired me because I wouldn't let him do that insane and illegal thing he wanted to do." Right? I mean, we're talking about generals who had to convince him that we couldn't use our nuclear weapons. Right?
What?
I mean, this is not.
You hear this? Trump wanted to use nuclear weapons.
This is not a normal situation, right? This is. This is
correct?
A Trump is somebody.
Hold up, guys. Did that happen? Did Trump want to use nuclear weapons against someone, and his generals told him, "No, you can't do that"? Because that would be interesting.
Yeah. He wanted to use nuclear weapons against some people that he had a grudge on.
I'm going to use these nuclear weapons on my political rivals. Going to take out all of them. Now, guys, if you didn't understand what Sam was just saying, apart from the nuclear thing, I'm not familiar with that. But Sam Harris there was saying, because what Ben Shapiro and Barry Weiss were saying is, hey, we've had examples of both these administrations. So we kind of know what to expect. And therefore, we can look back at Trump's first administration, and we kind of know what to expect from him. And Sam Harris is saying, no, you don't actually know what to expect from him, because there were all these people around him during the first administration. And so you had some people to keep him in check. Now he's going to destroy all those, get rid of all those people, and just do what he wants. And therefore, you're not going to have the same Trump administration. So you can't look to the past with Trump. He's too unpredictable. That's what Sam is arguing here.
Thinks that you can stop wars if all you need to do to stop a war is to bring in some wheeler dealer from Queens and negotiate it like it's a condo renovation, right? I mean he's
hey, did you see what he just did the same thing? Remember I said he won't just say it. He'll put something that like makes you visualize it and stuff, and that makes it stand out in your head. That's good communication there.
You see?
This is all bull. Yeah, I mean, bull is the right word for much of what comes out.
What's up with all these atheists, these new atheists, and their language? Constantly having to use language on this Christian program, and I had to beep all this stuff out. Shame on you, sir. Shame on you.
His mouth. And
I literally just praised him for being a good communicator, and he instantly starts cursing up a storm. What's that?
That was the worst word I've heard in my entire life. I'm glad you beeped it. Nobody could. I don't think I would. I would probably be traumatized if I heard that without the beep. Mm-hmm. When it comes to Donald Trump, I think he did. What I remember is he was arguing with Kim Jong-un, and he was suggesting that we also have nukes and things like that. And there were people were saying that that the situation was possibly getting close to a nuclear crisis and all that. And then he went over and just
that's what he's talking about. Yeah, I don't believe that.
Hello, my friend. Hello, my friend.
I don't know if there was anything else. Seriously,
we got the best nukes. We have way better nukes than they do. So I was on a YouTube, no, it's not YouTube. I was on a Twitter account from someone called Syrian Girl. Syrian Girl thinks that people are already launching nuclear weapons all around the planet. You guys seen this? Syrian Girl, every time there's some big explosion, you go, did Israel just drop a nuke?
I just went to the bathroom and dropped a nuclear weapon.
Well, there's one thing, which is that whole conspiracy that there are some people who want to push this whole reformation of politics called Project 2025, which suggests that America should be ramping up for possible nuclear wars and things like that. But Donald Trump said repeatedly that he has nothing to do with it, and he thinks that it's a bunch of extremists who push that kind of stuff. So I don't know.
Yes, I'll grant you that he can seem crazy and unpredictable, and because he is somewhat crazy and perhaps unpredictable, but he's not all that unpredictable. I mean, he's predictably bent around by flattery. I mean, you can be as odious a person as the leader of North.
Well, quit insulting him then, Sam. If you know the dude will do whatever you want, if you flatter him, you should be getting him into power and becoming the best flatterer on the planet, right? Pretty simple, right? Just make sure all the right people are flattering him. Problem solved.
Korea, that's kept his entire society in what is effectively a prison camp, and all you have to do is flatter the man, and he will claim to be in love with you, right? And as far as an ally with Israel, I mean, he's just like, if memory serves, Trump's first utterance, the public utterance after October 7th, was not some completely sane and compassionate expression of solidarity with Israel. It was some petty criticism of Netanyahu because he had felt slighted by Netanyahu. I mean, it's just...
Is that true?
That is true.
That's messed up, man. That's messed up.
That is true. That is true. He talked about how yeah, and he didn't listen to me, and I was disappointed by him.
I warned him. He would not listen to me, and this is what happened. This is what happens when you don't listen to Donald J. Trump. Something like that. It's messed up.
I'm not even sure if it was even if it was even on topic. I think it was very much like just
Might have
a
been
little.
just completely disconnected. Like he just said it, and it was just bad timing. Was it?
Well, it was in response,
Oh, okay.
and it was part of the conversation. But the gripe that he had with him was pretty much petty at best. I think I don't exactly remember. I kind of want to get back and look that up.
Just remember, Netanyahu, when you disagreed with me about that thing I said at that party, this is what you get. This is what comes around goes around. It's karma. Anytime you diss the Trumpster, bad things happen to you and your entire country.
That said, over the years since the war has been going on, he has been very he has been very supportive of Israel. He repeatedly said that Israel needs to crush the terrorists, and that we should give them what they need to finish the war, and so on. He has repeatedly remembered the hostages and said that the hostages must be released, bring them home, and so on. So he did repeatedly speak out in support of Israel and against the terrorism, which the current administration can never really do. They are always under the control of the progressivists and always have to speak and to think accordingly. But yeah.
That actually comes up. That actually comes up in this discussion. Namely, the tightrope that people on the left, that politicians on the left have to walk and have to constantly change their message depending on who their audience is. But interesting stuff.
I mean, he's the guy who, when the Twin Towers came down after 9/11, he jumped on the radio and said, and many people say I have the tallest building in New York now, right? I mean, that's the man. Right, that's the man who we've already elected.
But I think this is where Barry Weiss has already touched on this. Like, okay, once you like all this stupid stuff that pisses people off, once you get past that, then there are actual policies that are implemented and stuff. What do you actually think about those?
Policy perspective.
I don't think what he just brought up is relevant at all.
It is.
It's a little bit messed up, but it's not relevant.
Yeah, it is weird because if you're a politician, you say a bunch of messed up things here and there, but you had good politics. But I'm not saying that's the situation. But if you had a politician who says stupid stuff, blurts stuff. I mean, suppose you had a politician with like Tourette's syndrome and he just blurts out this random messed up stuff, but he has actual good policies, and you compared that with someone who always has the right words and always says the right thing, but the policies are crap. Who do you go with? I'd probably go with the person who has the better policies and say, okay, I don't really care if he blurts stupid things out or something like that. So yeah, I wouldn't think that's but I think what Sam's point is, it's like the things he blurts out are revealing his character. And I think other people are like, well, his character is he just blurts things out. It's not saying that he's like deep down, like really messed up or has this disturbed thinking. Anyway, these are the times we live in, folks.
You think a Harris administration would be better on Israel than a Trump administration?
I do, because it would be staffed by sane people. And what we have, again, do you want Mr. Pillow guy in the conversation with Mike Flynn?
He just did it. Mr. Pillow.
And who? Candace Owens? Who's going to be in there? Jack Posobiec? I mean, like
no. I mean, on his Israel policy, Mike Pompeo and David Friedman are the most likely people to be in the administration, and on Kamala Harris's side, it's most likely to be Philip Gordon.
Surrounded by grifters and maniacs.
Sam, I know precisely the people talking to him.
This is some Trump derangement syndrome there, right? So he's putting out. So this connects to what he was saying earlier, that, hey, in the first administration, he was surrounded by certain people who could kind of keep him in check. Now he's going to get rid of all those people. He's going to have nothing but yes men around. And who are you going to get? It's going to be Trump taking advice from the My Pillow guy and Candace Owens. And then Ben is saying, no, I actually know the people that he trusts on foreign policy issues. And then Ben saying, nope, he's not going to listen to it. He's going to be surrounded by maniacs, just maniacs. It's going to be Donald Trump and a bunch of complete lunatics and so on, giving him advice on how to destroy the world and crush everyone.
So I'm not speculating about that. I mean, one of the arguments. So there are a couple things that I think are worth noting here. One is that you say that past performance is no indicator of future performance about him, and you also say that about her. So I grant you that there's consistency there. I tend to think that the best indicator of what a second Trump term will look like is what a first term will look like.
I can tell you why it's not a good indicator for him. It's not the same dynamic doesn't hold for her. I mean, she's again.
So will a Kamala Harris term look like?
So
will a Kamala Harris term look like her first Kamala Harris term? And then just final point, you keep using the word normal, and I think there are a lot of Americans who hear normal, and what they actually hear is situation normal all f***ed up. Meaning we've done normal politics a lot, and it turns out that things were kind of.
Wait, did Ben Shapiro just cuss?
He did. Right after I condemned the new atheists for their language. Hey, AP, why are you invisible? Did you turn your camera off on purpose?
No, this is just what happens with my thing sometimes.
With your terrible equipment that you refuse to spend 10 minutes setting up a GoFundMe for, and then we would get you new equipment?
Yes. I'll be right back.
AP used to make videos, ladies and gentlemen. He used to make videos, made good videos, lots of views on those videos. Then got burned out. Was only able to get back into YouTube by doing live streams. So right now, all he does for the betterment of the world is live streams. And he's got an old piece of garbage laptop. And I tell him, just take up a GoFundMe, say, here's the new laptop I want, or here's the new camera I want, and problems will be solved. And he won't do it because he's too stubborn. Someone should do that for him. Well, look who we have back here. What were we talking about before you rudely interrupted us?
Oh, Ben Shapiro just cussed.
We were talking about him cussing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right after I condemn the new atheists for their horrible abuse of language on this Christian channel. You don't know what's about to happen. Listen to this. Are you ready? Watch.
Like her first Kamala Harris term. And then just final point, you keep using the word normal. And I think there are a lot of Americans who hear normal. And what they actually hear is situation normal all f***ed up. Meaning we've done normal politics a lot. And it turns out that things were kind of f***ed up. And Trump, things were not normal. And things in terms of actual day-to-day life, economically, foreign policy-wise, were less f***ed up. And so would we all prefer a choice between normal and not f***ed up and normal and not that'd be great. That not f***ed up would be a great status quo. But the reality is that there are a couple different operative levels of normal. And one of the things that I think
that's six F-bombs in like a 45-second period, ladies and gentlemen. What is up with this guy?
The funny thing is that there was a time where Ben Shapiro used to not use cuss words at all. In fact, even when he would quote somebody, he would just say F word or, F. That's all he would say. So he used to not do that at all. At some point, he started just saying it.
Mm-hmm. And isn't it a coincidence that as soon as Sam Harris starts saying BS, Ben Shapiro has to one-up him and start dropping F-bombs, and even more of them. This is why they say bad company corrupts good character, ladies and gentlemen. What do you think?
I would say it's very obvious that after becoming a Trump supporter, Ben Shapiro suddenly started cussing. This means that becoming a Trump supporter makes you morally corrupt. Anyway,
it would be funny if Sam said that. I just want to point out here that his language is even worse than mine. Now, what does that tell you about the political candidate that he supports? There's no morality involved here. It's just whatever you want. Wild stuff.
Okay, I'll be right back again. This thing is still messing around with me. Okay, see you.
This is what it's like. He'll show up 45 minutes late to a live stream because he has no concept of time. And then once he shows up, his crap equipment doesn't even work. Doesn't even work, ladies and gentlemen. Isn't this wild? I have to I have to be fair here. I have to be fair and consistent. Sam Harris, the new atheist, what's up with the new atheists and their language? But then, what's up with these Jews and their language on this show? Here you have a show with a Christian and an agnostic. We use only pure, wholesome language on this show. And then you got the new atheists and their Jewish allies dropping all the worst words we can think of. Fortunately, I bleeped them out.
People want normalcy from is their lives. If people had felt satisfied that Joe Biden had restored normalcy when he came into office with a popularity rating in the high 50%. And within a year, he had sunk those popularity ratings down into the low 40s because it turns out he was not normal. It turns out that he could say all the things that he wanted, that he could mutter whatever he wanted into a microphone. And Americans did not feel sanguine. They did not feel stable. They did not feel that him blowing out the spending, for example, or pulling out of Afghanistan, leaving billions of dollars behind while lying to the American people for months that everything was going to be totally hunky-dory over there.
Got AP back.
Hello.
The odds of AP's camera working for 5 minutes. Place your bets, ladies and gentlemen. All right, what you missed while we were gone is Ben Shapiro here is talking about stuff. And he's pointing out as far as the predictability of an administration, saying, hey, we thought that things were going to go great with Biden. He had a high approval rating, and then people just weren't happy with it, and that's why his popularity plummeted. But
they didn't like that either. And so this kind of the reference to the word normal over and over and over to only refer to the behavior of the candidate as opposed to the life lived by Americans is the reason that despite all the excesses, some of which you and I agree on, Donald Trump right now is running dead even with Kamala Harris and maybe ahead.
Ben, just for the listener, I want you to explain who Phil Gordon is and who David Friedman. So you said Mike Pompeo and David Friedman or Phil Gordon. Explain who that is in the distinction.
So Mike Pompeo and David Friedman are incredibly pro-Israel. David Friedman was the ambassador to Israel under Donald Trump. It was David Friedman and Mike Pompeo who worked with President Trump to, for example, broker the Abraham Accords along with Jared Kushner. They also helped move the U.S. Embassy to Jerusalem, a pledge that had been made by both parties and then failed by both parties until Donald Trump became president of the United States, who acknowledged the territorial sovereignty of the Golan Heights by the state of Israel. Phil Gordon is a foreign policy advisor to the Kamala Harris campaign. In the past, he has written about his desire to effectively normalize relations with Iran. The Kamala Harris-Joe Biden campaign obviously worked very heavily also with figures like Robert Malley, who actually did.
So, guys, if you're not familiar with this stuff, he's basically saying the people who would be advising Trump are people that he trusts more than the people who are going to be advising Kamala on the affairs of the Middle East.
Probably was compromised, as it turns out, by Iranian intelligence. One of
He's
the
being
things
investigated.
He's being investigated. I think it's very likely he was compromised by Iranian intelligence. When you look at the team, I think one of the things that's sort of fascinating about the duality between Trump and Biden Harris is something that Sam, you'd once suggested that one of the things that about Trump is that he obviously, in your opinion, has no principles, that he's completely variable, that he does wild things, he says wild things, and that he doesn't have sort of a plotting, go along to ideological sort of thrust. And I agree with
what?
Here is the thing.
One second. Do you agree with AP looks like he likes whiskey? And also, AP is turning into a deplorable garbage person before our very eyes. I don't know if that's a reference to the stupid hat and the beard, or if that's a reference to you agreeing with Trump on something, and therefore you'd be a garbage person.
Probably. Republicans are now known as deplorable garbage people.
It's kind of funny.
But yeah, I do look like somebody who likes whiskey. Yeah. But I was going to say, I understand the political assessments by these two gentlemen. However, why would I listen to them when Cardi B, Jennifer Lopez, and Beyonce all endorsed Kamala Harris, especially Cardi B? So
now that is a good point.
You see?
I hadn't even thought about that. And Cardi B, she was so smart, she was reading right off her phone. And I was like, oh man, she made that jammy jam about her About her vajayjay. Yeah, how would anyone not vote for whoever she says?
Exactly.
That was, you see that Babylon B response to, I should have pulled it up, to Jennifer Lopez, because Jennifer Lopez was like crying on stage, and the Babylon B response was, girlfriend of P. Diddy wants you to trust her. Something like that.
I think what was it? Ex-girlfriend of P. Diddy wants you to trust her judgment.
Yeah.
And vote with Kamala Harris.
What cracks me up about that is you can have like J-Lo and whoever's working with her compose a speech for her and have her deliver a speech, and she's a good actress and stuff, so she could be crying and stuff while making her plea, and like the Babylon Bee can just like destroy it all in like one little meme that like it's not just a joke, it's serious. It's like, wait a minute, the girl who was with P. Diddy says, hey, I know who the right person for this job is, trust me. Are you serious?
That is very, very,
Are you serious?
The headline was, Diddy's ex-girlfriend urges Americans to trust her judgment.
No, that's funny stuff. That's classic.
Some of that. I also think that if the ideological thrust of a campaign or candidate is wrong, that can be significantly more dangerous than the variability of the alternative candidate. And so I know exactly what I'm going to get from a Kamala Harris presidency with regard to the Middle East, because I know exactly what I got from Barack Obama and Joe Biden, and I see no difference. She can't even name a difference. So I have very significant doubts as to why I would expect a radical change in policy from Obama or Biden, except possibly to the left, if you listen to people like Bernie Sanders, who is now out publicly attesting that he believes he will have a receptive ear in the White House to a full arms embargo on the state of Israel.
Sam,
that was actually interesting because Barry Weiss is the one who brought it up. Like, she feels like it's that the options are weak versus crazy. Weak versus crazy. What Ben is granted is there's a degree of unpredictability in the Trump administration, but he just shifted it to, I know what to expect from these guys. If you're saying that this option is more unpredictable, it's harder to predict what Trump will do in these various situations, I'm willing to risk that to avoid that. That's worse. Like what they're doing and given the direction they're heading, what they're going to do is really, really bad. What Trump looks like, based on what he did in the past, looks like it would be good. Even if you can't predict it with certainty, I know that one's going to be bad. I know that's going to be bad. So therefore, even if you say we don't know exactly what, okay, well, I know that's bad. This may be good. So what am I going with? Interesting shift.
Well, I just got to respond to some of that because...
Oh, you got to respond because you're an atheist.
I am, like Ben, and I think like you, Barry, not satisfied with the noises that have come out of Democrats' mouths since October 7th, right? So
yeah, I was simply going to pay you a compliment and say that of all of the people, sort of, I think you have been since October 7th the most powerful moral voice, let's say broadly on the center left on this question, which is why I think people are going to be really curious to understand. To Sam's credit, he doesn't just, I mean, he obviously has a problem with Trump that affects all his what he says about all these issues. To his credit, he doesn't just like, here's my side and I'm going to toe the party line on these issues. He tends to say what he thinks, even if someone disagrees with him or something like that, or thinks he's crazy, or thinks he's just massively wrong on something, he still, at the end of the day, just kind of says what he thinks. And that's a good characteristic.
Well, I'm very glad that she added on the center left to that, because for a second there, I thought that she was saying that he was the most important,
voice
moral voice on the conflict. But she said she specified on the left. So that's good. That's good.
Center left.
And why you think, again, it's impossible to put character to the side, but just on a policy level, why you have faith that the Democratic Party is going to be stronger against jihadism, stronger against Iran, and more muscular in its support of Israel.
Yeah. Well, I mean, first of all, on this issue, on the defense of Israel and a recognition that ultimately, regime change in Iran is an imperative, and it's a moral imperative. It's a geostrategic imperative.
Yeah, you hear that? He's talking about regime change in Iran, saying that's an imperative. That is interesting, because there would be a lot of people on the left who are the biggest fans of the world of Iran for some reason.
I consider myself right of John Bolton at this moment, right? So it's like, it's not, that's where I am. And I should point out that John Bolton doesn't support Trump either, right? And he's very hawkish on this issue. Listen, Harris has an impossible task. I mean, if she loses in next week, we'll recognize that it was in fact impossible. But she has to hold this, or seem to hold this coalition together, and the coalition includes a lot of liberal and confused young people who think that, who've believed everything they saw on TikTok about the genocide in Gaza perpetrated by the evil IDF, right? I mean, she needs those people to vote, right? Otherwise, we will have a Trump presidency. So on some level, the fact that she is as tongue-tied as she is on this topic is easily explained, right? The fact that she must always turn the corner when expressing.
This is good stuff, by the way, guys. He's pointing out a serious issue here. That the reason, and we're going to go ahead and this is almost over. We're going to look at one short clip from CNN, actually showing the different messages that are being put out in commercials, depending on which side of the issue you're on. He's pointing out right here. Okay, if she loses the sort of far left, who's screaming "Free, free Palestine," she could lose the election, right? Because you need those people. You need those young people coming out and voting for you. But you can't lose Jews on the left or their supporters. You can't lose them either, or you lose the election. So she's ending up in this weird situation where you have to be two-faced. And you have to qualify everything, because if you don't, you lose. So this is similar to what AP was viciously condemning Trump for, trying to get some Muslim votes. It's actually more dialed up for Kamala. He's in a very, very awkward position of having two groups who absolutely hate and despise and want to destroy the other on the views that they're espousing. And so this one wants to annihilate Israel, and this side doesn't want to do that and wants these guys to stop wanting that, and so on. And she needs all of those people on her side to win the election. And Sam's pointing out, so this is actually easy to understand.
Is as tongue-tied as she is on this topic is easily explained, right? The fact that she must always turn the corner when expressing her full commitment to support of Israel and her recognition that Israel has a right to defend itself, seemingly she always has to complete that sentence with, but of course we need a ceasefire, and there's been far too much death and destruction in Gaza, right? It's been unconscionable, right? She has to give that whole thought and never just the first part, right? Whereas the whole thought is completely incoherent. I mean, it is just in fact true that if you acknowledge...
This is actually good right here, AP. You will like this point.
Probably not, but
you will love it. You will
give that whole thought and never just the first part.
You will actually love Sam Harris.
Whereas the whole thought is completely incoherent.
There you go.
I mean, it is just in fact true that if you acknowledge that Israel is fighting an existential war against a death cult, that is using its own civilians as human shields, and you acknowledge that the IDF is doing a better job of that than we have ever managed, right? In terms of the ratio of the killing of non-combatants to combatants, it's something like 1-to-1 in Gaza, and it's been 1-to-9 in some of our conflicts with jihadists, right?
Did you catch that?
Yes.
Very, very important. He's saying, what Kamala will say is, yes, we need to support Israel's right to defend itself, but because this is why we need a ceasefire right now, because of all the violence, and look at the children. And he's saying the message is actually incoherent, Because once you grant that Israel has a right to defend itself against a death cult using human shields, what do you then tell them they need to stop based on? He's saying you can't tell them that they should stop or that they have a moral obligation to stop when they have a better record than anyone else in history for this kind of war. And he points out that whereas they've got basically a 1-to-1 civilian to combatant death ratio, he said we've had 1-to-9, one combatant to 9 civilian deaths at times for what we've done. So on what basis could you say, no, now you have to stop defending yourself against this death cult? He's saying once you have the whole message, it's incoherent. You can't say that Israel gets to defend itself against this death cult and know what they're up against, people using human shields and so on, and then tell them, oh, but you need to stop because people are dying. He's saying that it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. And that's why she's ending up, what he said, tongue-tied on this issue.
So if you acknowledge that they're
What's up?
He's right on that, and he's like he is right on that, and this also once again just brings up the funny thing about all of this is if you are at this moment so obsessed with just complaining about Israel and complaining about Gaza all day, and think, oh no, this is the worst thing ever, it's the worst thing I've ever seen, there's nothing more important in the world, we have to step in and end this, we have to push for a ceasefire, how can you even eat your breakfast while people in Gaza are dying? If you're doing this right now, you are either incredibly stupid or you are serving a certain agenda that is completely biased and completely bent on simply opposing Israel because it is Israel. Because the conflict is not that bad. The ongoing war is not that bad by the standards of wars of similar kind. The war is not bad as a war conducted through urban
You heard
warfare.
it here. AP says war's not bad. Go ahead.
It is conducted actually with great precision by Israel's side, with greatness by Israel's side, and of course in every single war there are unpredictable, there are casualties that you simply cannot prevent that happen. There are certain things that some people mess up in the army and so on. However, Israel is doing a fantastic job with this war. There is not an excessive amount of people being killed, of people getting murdered, of people getting targeted and brutally executed, or any of that stuff. The combatant to non-combatant death ratio is quite reasonable, and it's actually impressively good considering the circumstances, considering that the war is taking place in a densely populated place where the other side is a terrorist organization that has no marked military fields, and that doesn't wear a uniform, that hides itself as civilians among the civilian population and so on. Under these circumstances, you shouldn't be spending your day bashing Israel and saying, we have to put a stop to this now. This is the most important thing in the world. It's not the most important thing in the world. In fact, if there is one thing that is very important right now, is that Israel should be crushing Hamas, and you shouldn't be putting a stumbling block in front of them when they're trying to do that. Otherwise, it seems that you have an agenda, and your agenda is a little bit messed up, a little bit evil, a little bit crazy. Just today, I don't know if you saw this, but an open letter was presented to for an arms embargo against Israel. The statement is, there is a genocide in Gaza. We must prevent Israel from purchasing arms and munitions. We need to keep our sensitivity on this issue on the agenda at every platform. We must reiterate at every opportunity that selling weapons to Israel amounts to complicity in genocide. This is led by one country and signed by 54 entities, 52 different countries. And guess who is leading this letter? Guess who proposed this letter? It was the Republic of Turkey, that is at the same time bombing Kurds in Syria. And
people think that Iran is the worst, Turkey is the worst, because Turkey makes everyone think that Iran is the worst.
Turkey, that is still bombing the heck out of Kurdish people and denying them their right to self-determination, is presenting this letter and condemning Israel and saying it's genocide, we have to prevent arms sales. Almost all signatory countries are Islamic countries. Some usual suspects are also included, such as Russia, among all of the communist and Islamic nations here, and Cuba and some other nations. This is what's going on. The people who think that this is a huge genocide and this is very, very bad and we have to finish it and so on are the Islamists, are the communists, are the anti-West forces. They are forces with an agenda. That is what it is. America should be supporting its ally, or at least not be an obstacle right now.
And so, putting all that together, you have a lot of forces who want to crush Israel.
Yes.
Openly. And then you have people who may not intentionally want to crush Israel, but they want to do things to keep them from dealing with the terrorists who surround them and so on. And so ultimately amounts to the same thing. And then you have Sam Harris, who, for some reason, sees things pretty clearly on this particular issue, that once you actually understand what's going on, what Israel is up against, and that they are obviously not carrying out a genocide. They're being extremely careful and doing a better job than anyone who's criticizing them. It's a completely incoherent message to say that, yes, they have a right to defend themselves, but yes, they need to stop defending themselves. He somehow sees that. Interesting.
In a better job than we have. You can't then complete the sentence with, but of course we need a ceasefire, and there's been far too much death and destruction in Gaza, and it's unconscionable, right? No, they're fighting a defensive existential war, and they're doing a better job of it than we ever have, and we should support them, right? That's the policy I want from my party, and that's the policy, whether we're going to get it rhetorically or not, that's the policy I think we will get from a Harris administration. I mean,
No, dude, totally wrong. Because I'm sitting there thinking, why does Sam have clarity on this point? I think it's because he understands jihad, right? Because he understands jihad, he understands the Islamic obsession with not taking an L to Jews and just being absolutely obsessed. Like, we will sacrifice endless piles of our own children if it helps us get a victory over Israel at some point in the future. I think he understands that. But then after he just said that, he said, and I think that this is, once he explains his view, says this is what we're going to get out of a Harris administration. Like, no, you won't. They do. Most of your party, Sam, does not see nearly as clearly on the issue of jihad as you do. They look at that and they say everyone else is the victim of Israel. That's what they're thinking. And you're looking at this going, I know jihad and the history of jihad and how Israel is surrounded by people who want to wage jihad against them. Therefore, when I say that they have a right to defend themselves, I mean that they need to stop these groups and crush them. He gets that. Sam, your party does not get that. They don't. So don't think that whatever you're thinking in your head right now, that's what the administration is going to do. The administration is has a significantly cloudier judgment on that than you.
And would acknowledge that his going immediately to Israel was great, and Israel has gotten a ton of support. I mean, in this latest, I mean, there have been hiccups, and there's certainly been rhetorical errors, but we have given more aid to Israel in the last year than we've ever given Israel. And in this latest mission, where they flew sorties over Iran. My understanding is that there were American planes in the air, ready to respond if any Israeli planes went down. Right. So
this is so ridiculous. What this guy is just. I mean, stop playing this game. It's quite obvious that the Democratic Party has a problem at this moment, has a problem when it comes to foreign policy, has a problem when it comes to Israel, has a problem in so far that they have done some things to help Israel so far because they kind of have to, because there are still significant sides within the Democratic Party that support Israel, that are for Israel, and so on. But we have repeatedly heard from Joe Biden and Kamala Harris that they just absolutely want Israel to stop. Kamala Harris and Joe Biden repeatedly told Israel not to go into Rafah. What happened when Israel went into Rafah? They killed Yahya Sinwar. Fantastic. They repeatedly told Israel to stop. They repeatedly pushed Israel to do a ceasefire agreement. They repeatedly supported ridiculous measurements that Israel should take to put an end to this. It's just, you have to be a little bit dumb to not acknowledge that the Democrats, especially with Kamala Harris and Joe Biden, have been having this whole attitude of trying to push Israel to make compromises and all that. You know, it's quite clear, man. Don't just deny this.
Hey, we have a little issue here. Some people are saying your audio's cutting out. Guys, that my audio as well? Some people are saying there's no problem, but a bunch of people are saying audio is cutting out.
That's weird. Do you hear any weird things?
I heard you heard. Yeah, that would, if your audio was cutting out, that would be on my end because I hear you perfectly.
Maybe it's the Jews. Well, just now when Sam Harris was talking there, the audio was kind of getting a little bit weird. Did that happen to you as well? Was that about the video? So maybe there might be something with your.
I think it's the internet. I think it's the internet in certain areas because some people are saying it's totally clear for them, and other people are saying there's a problem. Some people are saying audio's fine, no problem, and some people saying problem. Guys, that sounds like a regional issue, so you do not need to complain anymore. If it's some sort of regional issue, some people are having it, others aren't, then... And it could be an internet issue. This does happen, guys. Internet is like it's kind of like a river. If everyone starts taking some water at the same time, you kind of run out. There could be an area where something's going on and everyone's going on the internet right now.
The internet is like a river.
Everyone's jumping on right now.
Everybody's jumping in the river.
Powerful. Powerful, powerful, powerful. Oh, people are saying the bigger problem in Europe. Interesting. People are saying they're in California. They say it's fine. Anyway, we'll go.
Maybe it's Russia attacking the internet or something. Or the lizard people. I don't know.
All right, guys who are yelling sound problem. Some people saying they have no problem.
Anyway, continue. We don't care about those people who don't have a problem.
Okay, guys,
Too bad.
There's absolutely nothing we can do. My internet is blazing right now. Absolutely blazing. I hear no audio issues. So if there is, then that's just some sort of regional problem. So nothing we can do about it. Let's go ahead and finish this up. Last few seconds.
We are supporting them. What we aren't doing, and what Kamala Harris can't afford to do for purely idiotic political reasons now, is spell this out clearly in moral terms that would satisfy us, the three of us, because there are so many morons on the far left who have yet to vote.
So many morons who have yet to vote, and so they can't deal with the issue now. You got too many morons who need to vote still. That is correct. That's what I like about Sam Harris. You can disagree with him on a bunch of stuff, and then say, he's totally right on this issue over here. So
that's what they do.
All right, let's take a couple super chats, and then we'll watch a little clip from CNN, where totally weirdest thing I've ever seen in my entire life. CNN actually called out the Harris campaign for sending completely different messages depending on whether they're targeting Jews in an area or Muslims in an area. Wild stuff. But it was just weird. It seems like something you would see on Fox, not on CNN. Let's see.
I could still vote. I could still vote tomorrow. Maybe.
Yeah,
I'll see it.
can we change AP's mind, ladies and gentlemen? They say they're going to use the 14th Amendment to disqualify a Donald Trump win. That they say lots of things. They're not actually going to do that. Trump, as a descendant of Muhammad, is the Mahdi, inshallah. That's true.
Inshallah.
And that's probably what he discussed with the Muslims up in Dearborn. I just want better gas and grocery prices. That is pretty common, and people forget how. Matter of fact, that was during the Clinton administration. His campaign manager, that Carville guy, he wrote, "It's the economy, stupid," and bring everything back to the economy, because that's foundational for lots of people. Let's see. Hi, AP. Please help me win my new Polymarket bet. Will AP convert to Christianity by end of 2024? Yes, 20%. No, 80%. I am fully convinced you will, and bet my house, my goats, and my wife on it. Alhamdulillah. This guy put up everything in his house.
It would be funny if there was actually such a Polymarket bet somewhere.
Because that's what's going on with the election, right? They're having election betting and stuff like that. They're saying, yeah. That's pretty funny. What would be really funny is like you take all the bets and then like you convert based on whatever's going to make you rich. Pretty messed up, right?
I'm pretty sure that Polymarket is very unregulated. You can't really use it in America, but not by normal standards. So, yeah, interesting.
Shalom, D Wood and AP. Did you see CP Tour Destiny, a new one? No. I don't know how that. It would have to be if it's a topic that Christian Prince deals with regularly, and Destiny's a very good, like just natural ability debater. So, but if they were talking about something that Christian Prince deals with regularly, then
I saw that there was a stream that said Christian Prince and Destiny debate live, and I just clicked on it. I was like, wait a minute, seriously? Because sometimes
I don't even know how that would happen. They seem to have different.
And apparently, 1 hour into it or so, they started actually connecting on Discord and talking, and then it's just, I listened to it for 1 minute, and it's like, versus, well, why do you say this? I have a video right here. Okay, I believe you. Yeah, okay. And I thought, I can't do this, man. The contrast between these two people is too heavy. I can't listen to that any longer. So, stopped.
Let's see. D says, what do you guys think about former Trump officials backing John Kelly that Sam touched on? So I think that's about his former aides and officials and so on, calling him out and saying this guy is a problem.
I don't care. I don't know.
I would, without knowing the specifics, I would think that it's probably a mixture of truth and some possible exaggeration at some point. And that's just because if a bunch of people are who knew you were complaining about stuff, then they can always report that stuff. And it's pretty clear Trump, I mean, the stuff that he says in public is very frequently messed up. I can imagine him saying some messed up stuff behind the scenes. But also, you do have people who, once they've decided that I have to get rid of this guy at all costs, they can exaggerate or misrepresent things. So I'm guessing the truth is somewhere in between the two extremes. My thoughts.
I didn't know that he had AIDS. It's kind of weird.
It's because you don't know. Ben doesn't have to cuss to speak facts, but I do. Oh, this is Sam and M. Ben doesn't have to cuss to speak facts, but I do. So bleep him and bleep you too. Well, that was funny. You posted, Goat Hub posted that before we saw Ben cussing up a storm.
Beast.
Now everyone's going to call him little potty mouth Shapiro.
Beast.
It has changed my perspective on the Jewish people. I can no longer say Judeo-Christian values when one of the values, according to Ben, is horrible language all the time. Let's see. Apostate Gaming says, Ben Shapiro kind of hot if you're into kids.
Gay.
Ben new rap song. In America, he's spitting. Oh, yeah, but someone could remix him with all those f bombs into a little his new rap song, since he's a rap artist now. Kamala and Waltz seem like they'd introduce UK type censorship. We can't be that stupid. It'd be harder to do here in the US, but it does seem like the people who are doing that are from one side of the political spectrum. The people calling on more censorship, and specifically the people who want to crack down on Elon for allowing people to say what they think. There's a lot of that coming from one side.
You know, I did say that I don't appreciate selling out and doing certain things for votes and all that, but maybe I could start a campaign and say I could start a GoFundMe and say that I need to get equipment, and if I reach this goal within this period of time, then I will go and vote for Donald Trump.
Oh, no, you need to sweeten the pot. You need to say, hey guys, I need a new awesome computer and camera, and together, here are the prices. It's $10,000. If I get this by the time voting closes, then I will vote for Donald Trump. If I don't, I'm going to go and vote for Kamala. And
that's too far, man.
That would be funny, though. Why is Ireland obsessed with demonizing Israel? Yeah, why is that? You'd think Irish don't care, but they do. They put their business all up in everyone else's business. What is that? Is it because they're leprechauns? Is it because they're descended from leprechauns?
That is the main reason, not the only reason, but yeah, it's the main reason.
That, and because they're constantly drunk. No one gets drunker than the Irish, ladies and gentlemen, not even the Russians. AP, get new equipment. That is a good point. Everyone wants AP to have new equipment. And literally all anyone has to do is set up a GoFundMe and AP's promise to vote depending on the outcome.
Basic.
Problem solved. And the outcome is awesome new system for AP. Islam always dismisses Judaism as false because we as a nation stayed small. They don't realize that this is very precisely prophesied in Tanakh. Yeah, that's true.
That's true. That's very, very much true. It's also a huge misrepresentation of what the Jews are and all that. It's ridiculous, man.
Yeah, you see all this stuff from all these gropers and stuff that Israel wants to expand, and they want to take over Syria and all the way up into Turkey.
It's so dumb. It's like Israelis just want to be done dealing with that small strip of completely messed up people, and then you seriously have people suggesting that Israel wants to expand and take even more land, which would bring nothing but trouble when there is enough land in Israel to populate for the Jewish people. If they could take the Gaza Strip and place it on Mars, they would probably do it. And these people are suggesting that no, they just want to take more of the Arab land. Are you serious, man?
And if anyone knows about people who want to take everyone else's land, it's German AP. Hey, AP, whoa, what's that thing in your hand?
It's a pine cone it's a pine cone decoration, home decor with the 99 names of Allah on it. I'm not sure why you seem so flabbergasted asking this question, not like it looks like something else. It's simply a home decor with Allah's 99 names on it.
Mm-hmm. And you have a follow-up question here from Paolo. Is AP holding a gigantic golden... No, he just explained what it is.
Oh, no.
Why does everyone have to have a perverted mind?
Yeah.
Probably be here. Potty Mouth Ben and IP should meet up. Yep. That would be good. D. Wood, in what points you disagree with Sam Harris? What points do I disagree with Sam Harris? I mean, on all kinds of. If you're talking about in general, or you're talking about from this discussion. If you're just talking about this discussion, his view was that a Harris administration is going to be better for Israel than Trump because Trump is unpredictable. I think a Harris administration, because she has to constantly cater to to the extreme end of her party. And because that part is growing rapidly, as Ben Shapiro pointed out, that this is what the young people are becoming increasingly hostile to Israel. You're going to have to keep that. You're going to have to keep appeasing that section of your party, because guess what? If that's the part that's growing, and those are the young people, you have to do what they want or you lose the next election. So you're going to have to show them, that you're going to do what they want. So anyway.
But the young people.
But the people. AP's got his kufi on. Man, if you drop that mustache, man, you'd be looking like straight up jihadi right now.
I know.
AP isn't voting for Trump. Imagine my shock to find out that he's a Turk. Make Istanbul Constantinople again. That is an ongoing issue. You can't trust Germans. You can't trust Turks. You can't trust agnostics. Next soccer night. Well,
Yeah, that's the thing. I'm actually this is all part of the plan. I'm trying to be very subtle with the fact that I'm actually an Islamist who aims to eventually overthrow the government and install Sharia. So this is just part of that plan. Eventually, I'm kind of trying to get to the place where I can get close enough to the United States government where I can then finally be in a position to take over and all that.
The next Zuckernick says, Ben does not look 14. He has a beard. He looks 25-ish. Why do you always say that everyone who is not an old grandpa like you looks like a kid? Because he literally looks like a 14-year-old kid with some dirt on his face or something like that. Shush, the next Zuckernick, you're 5. Go take a nap. Powerful point, powerful point, powerful point. All right, guys, one more short clip here. This is from CNN. Wild stuff to hear from CNN.
Tonight, mixed messages. A K-file investigation this hour finds Kamala Harris is targeting crucial battleground voters with vastly different messages on Gaza and Israel.
Vastly different
messages.
This
ad is running in Michigan, which has the largest Arab population in America.
What has happened in Gaza over the past 9 months is devastating. We cannot allow ourselves to become numb to the suffering, and I will not be silent.
Comfortably numb.
All right, well, it's a very different story for an ad in Pennsylvania targeting Jewish voters.
Let me be clear. I will always stand up for Israel's right to defend itself, and I will always ensure Israel has the ability to defend itself, because the people of Israel must never again face the horror that a terrorist organization called Hamas caused on October 7.
Catch that, AP? We need a ceasefire because of the children in Gaza. We have to protect them. We need an immediate ceasefire right now. That's for the Muslim. We cannot turn a blind eye to the suffering of the Palestinians and the Palestinian civilians. We have to do something about that now. We need instant action. And the first thing my administration is going to do is get a ceasefire. Get a ceasefire. And that's the message that goes to Michigan and then in Pennsylvania, where you're trying to reach some Jews. I will never stop standing up for Israel and their right to defend themselves against terrorists and to crush all the terrorists who are coming against them to protect themselves and their children. They will wipe these terrorists off the map. The streets will flow with the blood of every jihadi who gets in the path of Israel. So help me God, I will do it.
You've got that.
You got to work on.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. I need to improve it a little bit.
I'll tell you what. If Kamala Harris becomes president of the United States, then we're going to obviously be talking about her over the next couple of years. So we will both work on our cackle impressions. We'll both work on our cackling.
Yeah. This is obviously disgusting, and I think that you just clearly cannot trust a politician that speaks in one way in one place, but then acts differently in another place.
Then you can't trust a politician because they all do that.
Exactly. No, but this is horrible. This is very, very horrible. And I don't know. I just don't want to be stuck with somebody like Kamala Harris as president for 4 years. I don't want to hear that.
No, and that, I mean, let's face it, that is probably the main reason for most people who are voting against Kamala.
Okay.
It's pretty awful and terrible. Anyone whose instant reaction to anything is to cackle hysterically.
Yeah, I don't think that I want to have her as president, and I think there should be better options on the table.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
we need some better options. I can't do it either. I can't do it. I'll have to practice. We're going to need some practice. All right, ladies and gentlemen.
But the people are...
Yeah. Just wanted to cover a couple issues. Because, anyway, saw that interesting discussion between two smart people, whether you agree with them or not, Ben Shapiro and Sam Harris. Also, Barry Weiss, very insightful throughout the exchange. You can see the full exchange over on, I guess there's a couple different places. It's on Free Press. It's on Sam Harris's site and so on. On Sam Harris's site, they've broken it up into separate shorter sections like the one that we watched. But smart guys.
Wait.
What?
Did you just call a woman smart?
Yeah.
Wow. This is interesting.
She wanted a smart ones. She wanted good ones.
I see some change in your thinking, David, and I'm very, very happy to see it.
She wanted a smart ones. Every once in a while, there's a smart one, ladies and gentlemen. But yeah, if you want to see the full exchange, they are making some interesting points in their discussion and their back and forth. And I've been seeing Ben go around a lot. He's on a lot of different channels and so on right now. Everyone except for APs. I wonder why. All right, last couple super chats here. Let's see. Sketch Therapy says, to atheists, one candidate won't kill your squirrel. That's true. That should be used right now. One party won't kill your squirrel.
Well, I want the one that kills squirrels, so this is kind of...
Is it a coincidence that the same party that wants to kill the squirrels, they want to kill the squirrels, they want to kill the raccoons, but they're also the party that supports eating the dogs, eating the cats? What's their problem with animals? They hate animals. Democrats hate animals because they are animals and they want to be the only animals. That's what we've got going on, ladies and gentlemen.
They're eating the dogs.
Vote for me, the squirrels. You'll be able to keep your squirrels. You'll be able to keep your pets. No one's going to eat your pets. No one's going to eat your dog. No one's going to eat your cat. No one's going to kill your squirrel.
They're eating the cat.
Right now, the odds on Polymarket are that Kamala Harris will win.
Saw that just shifted. Like Trump was massively ahead, and then it just shifted recently, didn't it?
Yeah, I guess.
AP, if you want to do an authentic Kamala laugh, you have to fling your arm in the air and make your eyes as wide as a guy on cocaine.
I saw that clip by that one woman who does a very good imitation of her, and she was describing it like that.
Maya Rudolph for SNL does a perfect Kamala. Sounds exactly like
she
it.
She does the voice very nicely.
Yeah. And then
Kansas. She looks like a squirrel.
Yeah. So Kamala, how will you fix the Israel crisis? Kamala, well, I will tell you, I was born in a middle-class family. She does talk like that. You seen that? She's like memorized certain responses, and then whatever question they ask her, she goes back to those talking points. It's pretty sad.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty sad, guys. And that's why long-term solution. You need an informed population of free people who are paying attention to what really matters. And if you do not figure out a way to get that back, I would say, might not be this election, might not be the next election, but long term, it is a matter of time. It's a matter of time. If you destroy the foundations of your society, it's going to crumble.
Stop your TDS. Trump, 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 Trump.
And if Trump hurries up and buys AP a new laptop and camera so he can do stuff, then AP will not only vote, but we'll have a huge Trump special where he calls on everyone to go out and vote for Trump. And AP will go to the voting center and announce his vote with the shofar.
I will say, so far I have not voted, but now is the time, and you shall too vote just like me.
Just like him. All right, guys. I do not
You know what's
know.
funny?
What?
There's this. She is kind of. She is a writer and journalist and commentator. I've been in touch with her for a while. Her name is Sloan Rackmut, however you say her name.
That's a made-up name. But go ahead.
Earlier, she said she tweeted that she was arrested today, and is now out on bonded out of jail. Because she complained about a store employee wearing a keffiyeh, and the manager told her to leave, and she just took a photo and posted it, saying it's so weird that people wear pro-terrorist things in stores now. And then apparently the store manager complained about her, and she just got arrested for this.
Wait, where did you say this was?
This was here in America, in where? Wait.
What?
North Carolina. So I just messaged her. I said, "Wait a minute, were you really arrested?" She said, "Yeah, I was." So I don't know. I asked her if she would be cool talking to me online about this. She said, "Yeah."
Make sure you get the whole story. You don't want to be like, so then I saw this person with wearing this thing, so I like tore up the place and burned it to the ground, and then they came and arrested me. Can you imagine that?
She said, I went to Harris Teeter in Holy Springs and saw this Hamas sympathizer. When I asked her why she was wearing a keffiyeh, the store manager told me to leave. And then follow-up tweet, so that was 3 days ago. Then follow-up tweet today is, today I was arrested for making this post 4 days ago. I believe the North Carolina Democratic Party is involved. I will fight this and continue to fight against anti-Semitism on campus and in the public square. Harris Teeter and Kroger have been put on notice. And I messaged her. She said, yeah, she's bonded out of jail right now. Very, very weird case. Very, very. She was on the Federalist. I think she published on Daily Wire before, and so on.
Pretty.
Have to get her on. It's strange.
Why does it have emojis over here? What happens if I click on one of these? It's like not even in the right spot. Oh, it's at random spots?
Base it.
Huh. Oh, these actually move. Hey!
Base it.
I didn't know I had this ability right here. Oh, I'm going to use that one. Oh, yeah, I'm going to use that one. A couple more. What is this? Party? Party over here. And then a mask. That mask sneezed. All right. Hey, yo, AP.
Well,
you posted something saying you're taking a break, so I don't know how that will impact things this week. We do have...
I was just referring to the live stream.
Okay, just that particular live stream, not the... Now you can't make live streams anymore?
No, I haven't been feeling very, very well. So I didn't want to go live.
Well, the election takes its toll on people.
Yeah, but have been taking time studying things. I actually sat down and on one day just read all of Romans, because my wife suggested that I should read a certain part of it. So I just sat down and read the whole thing.
No, I want to read it in context.
So I read the whole thing with commentary and went to cross-referencing and studying, and then I thought this was actually a very interesting read. And I learned a lot. And then I also realized, I also thought that as somebody who sees the online representation of, for example, Christians, right, on certain matters on social media, and then goes and reads the content of a book or a letter that is so clear on what the faith is and its positions on different things, I must say that social media really gives people a messed up perspective on how things are. And there are lots of people online purporting to represent Christianity who not at all represent it the way it actually is. And the funny thing is, specifically something that I concern myself very, very much with right now, is the whole perspective on Jews and anti-Semitism. And Romans happens to have a lot to say about Jews. And it just makes me think, how can people who claim to be Christians go online and spew such nonsensical, messed up hatred against Jews while claiming to believe in the religion that is found in this book? It doesn't make sense to me. Where Paul spends a long time expressing his love for the Jews, for his people, and saying that God eventually has a plan and will bring them together, and that even bringing salvation to the Gentiles is something that God does to make his people, the Jews, jealous and things like that. It's like, you seriously, you claim to believe in that, and then you go online and become a neo-Nazi? That just makes no sense. Anyway, I was kind of fascinated with that letter with Romans. I must say, didn't expect that.
Yeah, most people go to Romans as like kind of like a constitution of the Christian faith, and getting the perspective of a first century apostle laying out theology. One thing that hit me after several years of reading Romans, the greetings at the end. I don't know why, because you sit there and you always read all these greetings where he greets all these people by name. But this was interesting, considering what I said earlier in this live stream about that Saturday Night Live skit, "What's My Name?" or "What's That Name?" When people know about all these like social media figures and stuff like that, but don't know like other like relevant people who should be special to them and so on. But at the end of Romans, so this is Romans 16, verse 3, he says, "Greet Prisca and Aquila, my fellow workers in Christ Jesus, who risked their necks for my life, to whom not only I give thanks, but all the churches of the Gentiles give thanks as well. Greet also the church in their house. Greet my beloved Epaenetus, who was the first convert to Christ in Asia. Greet Mary, who has worked hard for you. Greet Andronicus and Junia, my kinsmen and my fellow prisoners. They are well known to the apostles, and they were in Christ before me. Greet Ampliatus, my beloved in the Lord. Greet Urbanus, our fellow worker in Christ, and my beloved Stachys. Greet Apollos, who is approved in Christ. Greet those who belong to the family of Aristobulus. Greet my kinsman Herodian. Greet those in the Lord who belong to the family of Narcissus. Greet those workers in the Lord, Tryphena and Tryphosa. Greet the beloved Persis, who has worked hard in the Lord. Greet Rufus, chosen in the Lord, also his mother, who has been a mother to me as well. Greet Asyncritus, Phlegon, Hermes, Patrobus, Hermas, and the brothers who are with them. Greet Philologus, Julia, Nereus, and his sister, and Olympus, and all the saints who are with them. Greet one another with a holy kiss. All the churches of Christ greet you." That was a church he had never been to. That was a church the Apostle Paul had never been to. And he knew all those people by name and their situations and so on. So some of these people would have been people he met in other places. Some of these would have been people that he heard about. And yet Paul knows all these people and can greet them in a church he had never been to. I find that interesting. That's cool stuff.
The funny thing that I noticed was that the greetings start with a woman.
Oh, see, AP always focused on the woman.
Yeah.
And then he objects when I say that women are smart. Yeah, the reason this stands out, even apart from the skit, this was several years ago, but my wife and I walked out of our apartment in the Bronx, and we start walking down the street, and this woman's walking towards us, and as she's walking by, she goes, hi Marie, hi David, and we both go, hi, and then we keep walking, and I waited till we were past her, and I go, who is that? And my wife goes, your next door neighbor for the past 13 years. I was like, no. I had zero clue who this lady was. And here the Apostle Paul greeting 30-something people by name in a church he'd never been to. Funny. Interesting stuff. What?
That's funny.
All right, guys. Well, AP, not sure what your schedule is like. We do need to cover Islamophobia Awareness Month and maybe an all-night election extravaganza where we just make fun of people for whichever side is crying in the as the results come in. We can make fun of them. That would be funny.
That'd be funny.
That would be funny and based. All right. We'll see what happens, ladies and gentlemen.
That's a very David Wood thing to do.
What's that? Oh, wait. Oh, hang on. There were a couple last super chats here. What is this? Twitch signups from Israel banned for a year. Thoughts? Yeah, we've talked about that before.
Yeah, I think it's been lifted now or something. They claimed it was a mistake and they forgot to change it for a whole year.
Oopsie. Is about a Jew now. What's about a Jew now? Bully McGuire. I don't know what that's about. Nah, Jews hating Christians blow my mind. For real, Jews hating Christians blow my mind.
I think that's supposed to say Jew hating Christians or
Okay, Jew hating Christians. Yeah, that would be weird.
we just talked about.
Is AP a Jewish or my landlord? What?
Both.
Both. It's Bully McGuire, ladies and gentlemen. Bully McGuire. All right, guys. Catch y'all later.